I hope you like cards because I'm about to talk about a lot of them. Fresh and buds now.
Fresh and
All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all my buds. And yes, it is time for the set review, constructed set review for Super Slam, the brand new set from Flesh and Blood. I was just at the world premiere, got to play around with the set. It was a lot of fun. And guess what? We're going to go through every card and rank them based on how playable I think they are or are going to be. I'm excited. It's just me and you, buds, just us, hanging out, talking about cards. Settle in. It's going to be a long one, but it's going to be a lot of fun. This set looks pretty cool. A lot of weird, interesting things going on, but a lot of stuff that I'm really enjoying or think I'm going to enjoy in Constructed. So we have a rating system, of course. It goes this way. This is the fresh rating system. This is how it's been for every set since Tales of Aria, if you can believe it. Highest, fresh to death. These are, just format defining cards that we expect to just really just make a mark in Constructed. I think I look at cards from high C's like Golden Tipple. I don't think Golden Tipple got that, but technically it did get banned, so I guess maybe it was fresh to death. I think it got a fresh at the time, but format defining staples, Command and Conquer, to name another banned card, Art of War, other cards of that ilk. Fresh to death is the top tier there, and then after that you got fresh. A lot of cards are going to fall into the next two tiers. Fresh is going to be good cards, and they're going to kind of fill out these decks and going to make them really hum. I think Golden Tipple was actually a great example of a fresh card because it was the glue of that deck, Gravy Bones. But I think a lot of cards fall into this, and we will be seeing a decent amount of them. These are cards you want in your deck that are going to be just buttery in that deck. And then after that, we have stale. These are cards that are, probably going to be more of your draft chaff that sometimes will end up in your constructed decks. Maybe if you just need another blue or need, just one more red in there, that's going to kind of give it a nice little power spike, or it's going to have some niche interactions with what the hero is trying to do. There's going to be a decent amount of these. We've seen Flesh and Blood kind of move in the direction where a lot of these sets are like, personally, I'm happy about it, really geared towards the limited experience. So some of these cards are going to be just okay, I think, for constructed purposes, but you will probably really want them in your draft pod. And then finally, we have the worst rating, which is Rotten. And Rotten is cards that we don't really see ourselves playing in Constructed. There's going to be some draft cards there, but it's just going to be stuff that's maybe a little bit too build-aroundy or kind of something for the future. And I think that we will see some of them. There's really not that many in this game because cards are just naturally very modal, and you can find a use for any of them. But we get a few rotten cards here and there. But yeah, that's our rating system. We're gonna hop right into it. I'm just gonna go and we're gonna just buckle in. Also, side note, I think it was last set review, the high C's. I was doing the set review and I looked up on my wall and there was a spider, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get that after I'm done recording." I never got it after I was done recording. So that spider is probably still in here with me after a few months. I mean, I don't know the lifespan of spiders, but the spider, me and the spider are just hanging. Listen, we all need a co-host sometimes, and that is mine today. So let's get into it, starting with the Fabled Authority of Ataya. A lot of these cards I'm going to read or at least pronounce for the first time, so bear with me. But this one's relatively easy. This is a blue Fabled generic resource gem. It's a legendary. You may only have one of it in your deck. When this is pitched, defense reaction cards cost opponents an additional 1 resource to play this turn. Yeah, I am a Riptide player, as many of you guys know, and this one is kind of scary. I don't know how prevalent it would be. You know, if it comes to a point where a lot of decks are running a lot of D-Reacts, I think this could just be something people are going to want, right? I don't think it's quite as good as Tropeldani from last set, like in terms of, you know, going to see it in a lot of decks, like main lists. But this is something that will sneak in there. If you own it, why not, right? It's a blue that's going to have some relevant text. But, you know, if we see a format where, you know, last time Florian was prevalent, right? A lot of the decks were running a lot of D-Reacts, and an Authority of Ataya can really just kind of make it really difficult. So we will see. I would give it like a fresh, you know, in certain matchups, it will play like a fresh to death, right? And, you know, that's another kind of thing. There's sideboard ratings. I don't think this is really a sideboard card. You just kind of play this if you wanted to. You can only run one anyway. So I would say it's a fresh. It's not the best Fabled we've seen. It's certainly not the worst. It has pretty relevant text. So, yeah. After that, we're going to get into the Revered cards, starting with Tuffnut. I'm not going to give a rating for Tuffnut, but Tuffnut is a Revered Brute hero, Bumbling Hulkster. Here's the adult. 40 health, 3 intellect. Oh boy. 3 cards. That's not a lot. What's the catch here? Instant tap. Tuffnut, pitch the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more attack or power, the crowd cheers you. Whenever the crowd cheers you, you create a toughness token, and a toughness token, for reference, let me bring it up here. Also, shout out to Fabry making this sick card overlay system. Oh, is it not here? No, it's got to be. Yes. Well, it's sideways. Well, toughness token here, if anybody wants to turn their head, at the start of your opponent's turn, destroy this, then the next action card you defend with this turn gets +1 defense to chain link. So clearly, Tuffnut is going to be able to create hopefully one of these a turn based on how you build your deck, if not more with other cards that will cheer you. So, not giving a rating, I will say I love this hero. This hero is so cool. Play with it in Limited. I've been playing around with it in Constructed already. And, I mean, can do some really cool stuff. Really nice, classic flesh and blood, good blocking number stuff. Is it enough for a high-powered format that I think we might see? I'm not sure, but we will talk about the cards regardless. First card out the gates here, though, is Tough Leather Boots. This is the Revered Brute Equipment leg piece. It's a common, blocks for 1, has Blade Break. If you control a Toughness and a Vigor token, this gets +2. This is a draft card. I'm going to say low stale, if not rotten for Constructed. I mean, Brute just has better stuff all the time. You know, we have a Scab Skins, and then we have the other one that if you discard a card at random, you can destroy it and get an action point. I think both of those are better than this, and also there is a Revered leg piece coming from the Pleiades deck, which, you know, we won't be covering. I also think that is probably good in Tuffnut as well. So Tough Leather Boots, cool limited card. I'm gonna say like high rotten, low stale. You know, listen, if blocking 3 is important, you know, and you feel like you can get a Toughness and a Vigor token at the same time relatively, you know, easily, I would say maybe this gets into the low stale category. But moving on into the Majestics, we have Good-Natured Brutality. This is a yellow 2-cost Revered Brute attack action that attacks for 6 and blocks 0. So we have a decent amount of cards in this set that will be blocking 0, but surely there's something going on here. 1 toughness can only make this block 1. Why are we looking at this card as a Majestic? When this defends, if you have no cards in hand, it gets +6 and the crowd cheers you. I think this is kind of a very gluey card for Tuffnut. A lot of value. This is like a really high fresh. It could even sneak into the fresh to death, territory if Tuffnut is a real contender in Classic Constructed. I mean, thinking about it, right, on defense, if you have to block out with your whole hand, this is going to block 6, generate a toughness token, and then, that's kind of like 7 points of value if you think about it. And then on the flip side, it costs 2. It's a 2 for 6, right? So like totally on rate at yellow. 2 for 6 like at yellow is just excellent. So this is going to be a high performer in this deck, and we're not really concerned about having no cards in hand with Tuffnut because, well, first of all, you only start with 3, and if you block out with everything, you can still pitch the top card of your deck to attack with perhaps Rock or perhaps basically any other brute weapon. I've been liking Romping Club again, but hey, to each their own. You can even go Medax in this deck, I think. So, big fan of Good-Natured Brutality, and I'm also a big fan of Jaws of Victory. This is a red 2-cost, 6 attack, 3 block Revered Brute attack action. It's a super rare. We're bringing back super rares. A lot of them are going to be, I think, maybe more limited minded, but this one is not. This one is certainly good in just regular constructed. This says, when this attacks a hero, if you have less life than them, the crowd cheers you. Nice little toughness token. If you've been cheered this turn, this gets go again. A 2 for 6 that blocks 3. Pretty much almost guaranteed go again in this deck, right? If let's say you had more life than your opponent, well, you're going to cheer with Tuffnut's ability. It's going to be tough to go super wide with Tuffnut, but you're going to find interesting turns where you can just go 6 into, like, you can do Jaws of Victory into Good-Natured Brutality, or Jaws of Victory into, if you had enough resources, Jaws of Victory into like your weapon attack after. This is going to be just a nice little burst of damage for the deck so that you're not just kind of in this block attack with weapon mode. I like this card a lot. It's a fresh for sure. It's not always going to perform like you want it to, but I think you still just want this card. I think it's hard for me to imagine playing a non-rock version of this deck, because if you're playing a rock version of this deck, you probably don't want a lot of reds anyway. But in some more, I guess, down-to-earth builds of Tuffnut with like Romping Club or Ravenous Medax, I think that Jaws of Victory can do some serious work. And speaking of serious work, another super rare. This is Wind Up the Crowd, a blue 3-cost, 6 attack, a blue 6 Revered Brute attack action. This also blocks 0, and this has instant discard this, create a toughness and a vigor token. Oh, that's pretty good with the tough leathered boots. However, I think that this is just a really good card for Tuffnut, right? 3 resources off the top if you pitch it with Tuffnut, and then on top of that, you're going to get cheered, and then you have the ability to discard this whenever. This is kind of, kind of almost a fresh to death card. I think that everything it's doing is good except for blocking, right? And, hopefully, you can just use it to pay into some other resources that we'll talk about soon. There's a couple other good cards to have a blue for in the Revered card pool. So I think Wind Up the Crowd is as close to a fresh to death that we're going to get. I think definitely closer than Good Natured Brutality, although they're very close. And I'm a big fan of this card for Tuffnut. Moving on, we got Numbskull Charm. We have a charm for every hero in the set, and this is Tuffnut's. This is a yellow, 0 cost, Revered Brute instant. It's a super rare, and it says choose any number. Destroy a confidence or might token. The crowd cheers you. Pitch the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more, create a vigor token. Now, 2 of these 3 modes will always be relevant for you. The crowd cheers and the pitch the top of the deck. Destroy confidence or might. There's only certain heroes that run those, so you're going to be kind of tied into the other 2. Initially, when I saw this card, I was like, I think this has legs in constructed, right? I think it could do some stuff, but honestly, I think Tuffnut wants a pretty minimum amount of non-6s in the deck if you're going to go the route of just like a regular brute game plan that's not rock. So Numbskull Charm to me is probably like a low fresh, high stale. Like it might just be in the high stale territory because it's fringe good, I think, what it does. I think that it can generate a lot of value for you. I mean, you're getting a vigor and a toughness immediately, so long as you pitch a 6 off the top. And then the upside of sometimes getting a might token, it's not bad, but it's not the best. So I think it's like a high stale. I like Numbskull Charm, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to like really make the deck. So it's going to probably land in the stale territory with some upside, maybe a sideboard fresh, if anything. And then the last Revered Brute card is Old Leather and Vim. This is a red 2 cost Revered Brute attack action card that attacks for 6, blocks for 3, pretty on rate. If you control a toughness or a vigor token, this gets +1. 2 for 7 sounds great. Pretty easy to at least get the toughness token with Tuffnut. And when this hits a hero, create a toughness and a vigor token. Yeah, an on hit that is relevant, that is going to convert into better future turns. This is just like a perfect fresh card, I think, right? It's really doing everything that you kind of want out of a 2 for 6, if not more. You're presenting an on hit, can easily get a breakpoint for that on hit, and then it's costed efficiently. So I think Old Leather and Vim is certainly a fresh card, no doubt. Now, before we get to the rest of the Revered pool, we got to talk about the other Revered hero, Pleiades. Superstar. 4 intellect, back to normal amounts of cards in your hand. 40 health, and has 2 abilities. Instant tap Pleiades. Remove a suspense counter from an aura you control. You may put a suspense counter on an aura of suspense you control. So we'll see some suspense cards in a bit. Sorry, tripped over my words a little bit there. But this is the core idea of Pleiades, being able to, we'll see that basically they tick down, and then when they have no like counters on it anymore, the effect it gets destroyed and the effect happens. And they are powerful effects. So she has the ability to kind of control when it's going to happen, right? With some kind of manipulation here. And then whenever the crowd cheers you, create a confidence token. I will show what that is, but essentially it is it's going to be sideways again, sorry. At the start of your turn, destroy this, then the next attack action card you play this turn can't be defended by more than 2 non-block cards. So clearly her game plan is throw out a bunch of auras, suspense auras that are going to tick down, and then you're going to plan for a big confidence turn where maybe a bunch of your auras popped, you get like plus 10, plus 15, whatever, and then send a really devastating attack that they can only block with 2 cards. 2 non-block cards anyway. She seems cool, very, very skill testing, I think. And, to shout out loyal listener Junior, feels a little bit like a mechanologist because you're turning knobs and whistles and stuff like that. So should be really interesting. Also, shout out to Max Ferocity, who just totally embodied Pleiades in her cosplay again over the weekend. Very cool. Starting with her pool, though, is Plate of Tough Love. This is essentially like Tough Leather Boots, except it's a chest, and it blocks for 1, Blade Break. If you control a confidence and a toughness token, this gets plus 2. It's going to fall right into the draft chaff, like high rotten. We have so many good chess pieces in Guardian and generic, so it's going to be hard to want to play this, but very, very good in limited. But we'll just give it a high rotten. However, this next card seems good. Cries of Encore is a red 3-cost Revered Guardian attack action that attacks for 7 and blocks for 3. When this attacks a hero, if you have less life than them, the crowd cheers you. Get your confidence token. If you've been cheered this turn, this gets, when this hits a hero, you may play an Aura of Suspense from your graveyard this turn. Listen, this is a really good on-hit. You definitely want to be cheered. Now, the interesting thing with Pleiades is, unlike Tuffnut, doesn't have a way to get cheered on her hero ability. So you're going to have to find ways to get cheered. And clearly this has one built into the card, but you have to have less life. So you got to play around that. We're back to the Arcanite Skullcap math days to do that. But that being said, these Auras of Suspense, we'll see, are very good. And to get them again is also very good. So Cries of Encore is probably a very high fresh. It's going to play very well in this deck. And, with a confidence token on this from maybe a previous turn, it's going to be harder to cover up the full 7 damage if you're just sending 7. So very, very cool card. After that, we have Thespian Charm, which is her charm. This is a yellow, 0-cost, Revered Guardian instant, super rare. Destroy a Might or Vigor token. The crowd cheers you. Return an aura permanent you control to its owner's hand. Now, this one is interesting. A little bit more than Numbskull Charm. Because just like Numbskull Charm and probably the other 3 charms, 2 of the 3 will likely be relevant always, right? The crowd cheers you. We just said that she might be a little cheer poor based on her hero ability, not generating cheer. So having it at instant speed for 0 cost is pretty good to see. And then return an aura permanent you control to its owner's hand. So if you're not ready, perhaps, to send off an aura when the suspense counter ticks down, you can return it. You can also return one to block with. There is a lot of flexibility there that, compared to Numbskull Charm, I think it's a little bit better. So I'm going to give Thespian Charm a fresh for sure. Coming up next, we have Up on a Pedestal. This is our first suspense aura here. This is a blue 0-cost Revered Guardian instant aura, and it blocks for 2. These are instants that do block for 2, and they're also auras. Has suspense, which says this enters the arena with 2 suspense counters at the start of your turn, remove a suspense counter from it. When it has none, destroy it. So this one reads, when this enters or leaves the arena, you may put a Revered or Guardian attack action card from your graveyard on top of your deck. So, nice way to kind of recur some pretty important threats. And, so maybe just kind of get cards back into your deck as well. And, you can definitely manipulate it with her hero ability. It's a blue, only blocks 2, but listen, I think it's totally fine. As far as I'm concerned, when I'm looking at resource cards, i.e. blues for her, I mean, some of these cards are going to cost a lot, so you're going to need a decent amount of blues. And having up on a pedestal is not a bad one, right? I think this is totally fine. It's not going to perform like a fresh to death, but it's definitely going to perform like a low fresh mostly. I feel like oftentimes it's going to just be a resource card. And then towards the end of the game, you can kind of recur a important threat to close out the game, which is nice. And being able to kind of control your suspense counters, it's a nice one to do. And also, part of her ability is you do need to remove a suspense counter from something, and having a kind of expendable suspense aura is important. And up on a pedestal is not expendable, but like you don't really care as much when the leaves the arena ability happens, because you're just getting some recursion there. So I like this card. Probably it's just a solid fresh, like most of these supers, but we'll see some not so fresh supers eventually. What about the next one, which is, if it shows up, oh, there it is. Turning Point, Revered Guardian block. It's a blue, blocks for 2. It's a super. When this defends, if you have less life than the attacking hero, the crowd cheers you. While this is defending, if you've been cheered this turn, it gets +3. A blue block 5 is something I'm interested in. Now, it's not always going to work, but I think, like I said, this deck's going to need blues. If you can control your life, like you would for Cries of Encore, I think Turning Point is just as playable. So this is going to perform probably blocking 5 is good, right? This is even in go wide aggro decks. There's going to be chain enders. There's going to be important threats that have been buffed a little bit that might, be threatening, like a boom grenade or something like that. Turning Point could really help you there. So I'm looking at a fresh for Turning Point. And we do have a rare Uplifting Performance, which is a blue 3-cost Revered Guardian attack action. It attacks for 5 and blocks 3. If you control a Confidence or Toughness token, this gets +1. When this hits a hero, create a Confidence and a Toughness token. This one's kind of interesting. This is the rare, version, of the Revered Guardian stuff we saw. That Tuffnut had one in Old Leather and Vim. This one does not in itself give a breakpoint. So, but it's a blue 3 for 6, often enough. I'm not as sold on this. I think maybe this is like a low fresh, high stale, because I think in the grand scheme of Constructed, we're going to have a lot more playable blues. And this one, to me, feels like it might not make the cut. I could be off. I could be off on this, but I see it like a stale. I think that it might just be losing out to just better options. But yeah, that's Uplifting Performance. Let's move on to the generic Revered cards. Starting with a common, Helm of the Adored. Sorry. Revered equipment headpiece, blocks for 1, has blade break. When this defends, the crowd cheers you. As much as we like cheering with these heroes, there's better options. This is a rotten. Leave it in the limited pile. And moving on to Hold Firm, which is a revered equipment arm piece that blocks for 1, has blade break. Action, pay 3 resources, destroy this, create 3 toughness tokens. Activate this only if you have less life than each other hero. Go again. Toughness tokens are good. I feel like we have better options for both Brute and Guardian. And I mean, maybe this is more of like a low stale than straight up rotten, but this is not something I'm super excited to be playing in Constructed. But the next one, I'm really excited to play in Constructed. Crowd Goes Wild. This is a yellow, 3 cost, 6 attack, 3 block, revered attack action card. Not the best stats, not the worst, but there must be a catch. If you've been cheered this turn, this costs 3 less to play. So in Tuffnut, we can send a 0 for 6 pretty easily. I don't know if Pleiades wants to play this one as much, but maybe she does. I mean, she's going to need some good attacks to like stack these auras of suspense on them. So I still think in Tuffnut, it's like a really high fresh, maybe low fresh to death. 0 for 6 after a Jaws of Victory is going to be pretty good. So I like this quite a bit. Crowd Goes Wild. 0 for 6. Ooh, a yellow. Holy moly. Yeah, and you're pitching it off the top with Tuffnut, getting that toughness token. Pretty good. Next Majestic we have in Revered is No Hero Stands Alone. Another yellow 6. Costs 3 though. It blocks for 0. This is a Revered attack action, by the way. While this is in any zone, if you've controlled a toughness token this turn, this gets +3 and ambush. We haven't seen a lot of ambush, but it says, while this is in your arsenal, you may defend with it. So I'm going to take a sip. Excuse me. When this defends, clash with the attacking hero. The winner may choose an attacking or defending card to get -3, -3. So -3 attack, -3 defense. This chain link. So if you block with this and you lose the clash, No Hero Stands Alone is going to lose the +3 defense that it had. And if you win, this is going to essentially block for 6, right? So this is a sideboard card. There's some matchups you cannot play this. But in the matchups that you can play it, this is going to perform excellently. I'm looking at it mostly in Tuffnut. I mean, this is, the yellow 6. It just makes sense. I would be shocked if these past 2 cards really see play in Pleiades, but maybe I'm just not clocking it. It's not clocking to me. But No Hero Stands Alone, I think, is going to be a really, really good sideboard card, like a sideboard high fresh for Tuffnut. And, maybe Pleiades as well, because, that's a lot of value on defense. And with ambush, it's going to be harder for Pleiades to create the toughness token, which makes it a little bit harder for her, but I'm looking at this for Tuffnut. And moving into the supers, a good, clean fight is a red 3 cost, 7 attack, 3 block, revered attack action. If this is attacking a hero, non-equipment cards, they own lose and can't gain abilities. So this one's pretty interesting. I think we do have a lot of cards that are, getting defensive abilities, right? a lot of this is good against Clash. This is good against even, some cards we've already seen, like Good Natured Brutality. I think it's good against even like a Sink Below, right? So, they don't get the Sink. Still blocks for 4, but this is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's good enough. Maybe if there's like some kind of crazy Clash deck that is going around. Maybe I could be missing something. I mean, this is good against Riptide, which is just, love to see it. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think this is more of just a limited card, but I'm going to give it like a stale just to be safe because whatever, it's like a 3 for 7. I mean, we've played worse 3 for 7, so this could be a something worth looking at. Moving on to, almost lost my spot, Escalate Order, which is another, I think, Tuffnut card. This is a red 2 cost, 6 attack, 3 block, revered attack action card. It's a super rare. When this attacks, if you control a toughness token, create 3 more. So, I think the vision here, right, we can kind of see is play a lot of yellow 6s in Tuffnut, flip off the top, 2 resources, create a toughness token, and then this kind of fits right into that. I don't know if every deck is going to want to run Escalate Order or every matchup, because sometimes just extra toughness tokens aren't really doing a whole lot. You probably want something a little bit more disruptive. But if you're kind of going against something that's really going tall, I could see Escalate Order being a good, solid, like low sideboard fresh option. I do like it. I mean, just, if you're looking at it from like a pure numbers point, it's a 2 for 9, right? That's a lot of value. That is a lot of value. So I like Escalate Order quite a bit. If you can get the 3 value worth of toughness, of course. Another yellow 6 is Old Favorite, another super rare. This costs 3, and it attacks for 6 and blocks for 3. It's a revered attack action card. When this attacks, if you've been cheered this turn, create a toughness token. Okay. When this defends, if it has 6 or more defense, put it on the bottom of its owner's deck when the combat chain closes. So this is a good toughness payoff, right? Kind of keep it in the deck. You're blocking for 6 with it. So this is a nice little way to cycle things in. Now, this is not always going to be relevant, right? Some like aggro decks, okay, they're like, oh yeah, you blocked my 4 attack with a 6 attack and you kept the card, whatever, we don't care. We're going to attack you 3 or 4 more times. So it's not always good. In certain metas, it might be really good because you just like want to keep the card. It's a nice anti-fatigue method. I got to give it like a high stale right now. Could slide up. I like it a lot, but I think like we already saw, there's a lot of yellow 6s that we might just want to do. And, as we saw with Pleiades, it's kind of going to be harder for her to create the toughness tokens to do it. Maybe some of the Auras of Suspense can do this, but I'm still not sold on Old Favorite and Constructed. Next we have, Tame the Beastly Behavior, which is a 3 cost, 7 attack, 3 block, revered attack action. When this attacks a reviled hero, this gets +1, and when it hits a reviled hero, put a card from their arsenal on the bottom of their deck. This is too narrow. There's 2 reviled heroes in the game, and we don't even know how playable they're going to be. So it's a rotten for now. Could be a good sideboard option in the future. Renounce Violence is another very narrow card, but we'll read it anyway. It's a blue revered instant that costs 0. It's a super rare. Destroy up to 3 might tokens. Create a toughness token for each token destroyed this way. Great and limited. Not so good in constructed because it's just not going to be relevant enough, I don't think. So, sorry. Really beautiful art, though. Never Give Up, though, could be something we see. This is a yellow Revered block card that blocks for 3. It's a super rare. It says instant. Pay 2 resources. Put this on the bottom of your deck. Target defending action card gets +3 this chain link. Activate this only while it's in your graveyard. You have less life than each other hero, and you've been cheered this turn. So it's a recurring block 3 that can buff other blocks. I like the potential of this card. It needs a lot of things going for it, right? So when I look at this and I look at Pleiades, might be a little bit harder to get that. The cheer part is going to be the hardest thing, right? Tuffnut can get the cheer on opponent's turn. It's an instant to pitch off the top of the deck. But then you don't get to do it on your turn. But maybe you're just like in defense mode. I don't hate it. It could be in the full fatigue Tuffnut, right? And that will probably perform at like a low fresh. So build around low fresh for Never Give Up. Really cool card. Probably it's up there for maybe my favorite art in the set. That and No Hero Stands Alone was also pretty great, but we got a lot of good stuff. Very interesting. All right, so now we're at our first cycle of card. Comeback Kid. This is a revered attack action card that attacks for 7, 6, and 5 and blocks for 3. Costs 3. It's a rare. 7, 6, and 5 in, red, yellow, blue. When this attacks a hero, if you have less life than them, the crowd cheers you. If you've been cheered this turn, this gets +1. I don't hate this card, especially at the yellow, I should say, because this could easily be, a nice 3 for 7, and with a yellow kind of resource curve, I don't hate it. I think it's probably like a high stale. It could kind of get bumped into the low fresh range. It is a decent payoff because you can get cheered twice with this with Tuffnut and still come in for 7, which is pretty good. So I do like this. You got to be running like Tunic, I think, in Tuffnut, just to kind of be able to, if you hit the yellow and you have a 3 cost attack, to be able to pop that and send it in. Now, okay, so we have a cycle, but it comes in 3 different colors, or 3 different texts on the 3 different colors. First is Disarm. This is the yellow, 3 cost, 6 attack, 3 block, revered attack action card. When this attacks, if you've been cheered this turn, create a toughness token. That is going to be the same on all 3 of these, and it's all going to have a similar second text, but it's going to be a little bit different. When this defends, if it has 6 or more defense, the attacking hero puts a card from their hand on the bottom of their deck. This is a good toughness payoff. It's also good. You can play it with, not Rally the Rear Guard, Reinforce the Lines. I think you can play with that. You can play it with Never Give Up. This is a good target for that. This can disrupt the opponent. Great way for Tuffnut to deal with the go wide decks, because this is, hey, listen, basically discard a card if you can block for 6. So I do like this. I think it's probably a solid fresh, right? This is just, if you're ever blocking for 6 or have the ability to, this got to be an auto include. So I like this card a lot. I like all 3 of these, actually. So next one is, we're going to call it the Dis trilogy or whatever. But that was the Disarm was the yellow. Disembody is the red. This is a 3 cost, 7 attack, 3 block, revered attack action card. When this attacks, like I said, if you've been cheered this turn, create a toughness token. When this defends, if it has 6 or more defense, the attacking hero puts an aura they control on the bottom of their deck. An aura token ceases to exist. This is more sideboard, but it's a nice 7. So Phantasm looking pretty good. Get rid of the, a Spectral Shield or whatever on defense. This is more in the sideboard range, but I think it could be really just a sideboard fresh, right? Just like Disarm. If you're able to ever block for 6 with it, I think you got to give a card like this a shot, because it really does do some serious work. It can just change the tempo of the game, just one simple block, which is really cool. And then finally the blue, which is not a 6, which is a kind of a bummer for Tuffnut, but I think Tuffnut could probably still mess around with it. This is Disperse. Same if you've attacked, or when this attacks, if you've been cheered this turn, create a toughness token. Costs 3, it's blue, attacks for 5, blocks for 3. When this defends, if it has 6 or more defense, the attacking hero puts a card from their arsenal on the bottom of their deck. Another really good effect, right? This is kind of a, just because it's not a 6, I got to give it it's just below Disarm, but it's close at like a pretty solid fresh. Excuse me. But really neat. Next card we have is Fight Fair, which is a rare. And this is a 2 cost, only comes in red. 2 cost, 6 attack, 2 block, revered attack action card. If this is defended by a reviled card, this gets +1. When this is a reviled hero, put this on the bottom of its owner's deck. Rotten. Just even if reviled heroes are everywhere, I don't know if this is good enough. So, yeah, good and limited though. Next card's pretty interesting. Shining Courage. This is another rare, only comes in red. It costs 0. It's an instant, revered instant. Up to 1 target defending action card gets +3 this turn. The crowd cheers you. Okay, that's a way to get Disarm, Disembody, and Disperse up to 6 pretty easily. Just like, Reinforce the Lines or whatever. This one's pretty fringe playable. I think if you're doing that, this could really be auto include, right? This helps you disrupt your opponent. It essentially blocks for 3, and it gives you a toughness or a confidence on the back end of it. I do like that. This is like a low fresh, probably maybe high stale, but this is like a card that could just be in that kind of package of cards with the Dis trilogy, as we were calling it before. But really neat card. Will of the Crowd. That's Will right there, and that's his crowd. This is a blue revered block card that blocks for 2. While this defends, if you've been cheered this turn, defending action cards get +3. This chain link. So this could essentially, buff up a decent amount. If you can manage the cheer on the defensive side. Tuffnut is easy, like we said. So this could essentially add. So let's say this is one of the 3 cards in your hand. You're blocking with other action cards, and this could essentially give +6. So it itself is contributing 8 block. Now, you really just gotta be kind of defending a one really big attack, a really big tall attack. So how often is that going to happen? It doesn't really. This is just not how CC has been going. We haven't been seeing a lot of that. You might see more if Pleiades or Lith are really popular. Spoiler alert: Lith is going to try to buff up stuff as well. So in CC's predicted world, I don't know if this is going to make the cut. So yeah, probably low stale for now. But hey, listen, there if this is a good tech card, if if people are going to be sending 20 attack, confidence attacks or whatever, it's going to be at least, helping out there because it is a block card. So you can add it to the chain link and 2 other cards as well. So not bad. Next, we have Dig In. This comes in all 3 colors. And it attacks for 7, 6, and 5. It costs 3, and it blocks for 3, and it is a revered attack action card. And when this defends, you may pay up to 3 resources, create that many toughness tokens. Love this card. I mean, I think that a nice defensive 6 is going to be good in Tuffnut. I don't know if Pleiades really wants to do it. I mean, it's hard to say how much of this like revered pool is really constructed Pleiades playable, because I feel like she's going to be more of a combo deck where Tuffnut's just looking for these really cool numbers. Let me turn this pitch into more toughness in the next turn, yada yada yada. I think Dig In at some number of cards and colors is going to be playable. So like a low fresh, I think it's not super, you have to commit resources for it to be more than just blocking 3. So yeah, I think it's fine. It's a really cool card. It's not going to make the deck feel that much better. It's just going to be a nice glue card, I think. Next, we have Empowering Ruckus, which is a common that only comes in 1 color. This is a yellow that costs 3. It's a revered attack action card that attacks for 6 and blocks 3. If you've been cheered this turn, this gets +1. It's just a 3 for 7. We've already seen a lot of really good yellow 6s that are doing just better versions of this. So I'd probably give this like a low stale, maybe, to be generous. And yeah. Next set of commons is Fight From Behind, which comes in all 3 colors. This is a limited card. I'm just going to spoil it now. The red attacks for 6, then 5, then 4. It costs 2 and blocks for 2. And when this attacks or defends, if you have less life than each other hero, the crowd cheers you. It blocks for 2, so like I'm not super excited. I mean, maybe Pleiades would want the blue to just kind of on defense get a quick cheer, but that's kind of a stretch. So like I think maybe at the blue, you're just gonna have to probably give it like a low stale, maybe. I think. I mean, unless I'm missing something. I mean, sure, Tuffnut can send the red pretty easily and get an extra cheer, but that 2 blocks is just like making up for that toughness that you could get anyway, or kind of like counteracting the toughness that you would get, in my opinion. Next, we have Rapturous Applause, which comes in all 3 colors, attacks for 7, 6, and 5, and blocks for 3, and costs 3. When you win a clash revealing this, the crowd cheers you. This clash is a big theme in this set for limited. I don't think it's gonna. Clash is just a little bit too volatile for CC if you don't have control over it, right? We see Victor do it, but Victor has the ability to pop the gold. And then you see KO do it, and KO is buffing up every card that they reveal via the hero ability. Tuffnut and Pleiades, I don't think really can afford it. Pleiades is playing a bunch of auras. Tuffnut is playing a lot of 6s and 7s, but this is just not good enough, I don't think. So probably a rotten for Rapturous Applause. And we do have a clash card, Tough Smash Up, which comes in all 3 colors. It attacks for 7, 6, and 5, and blocks for 3, and it costs 3. And when this defends clash with the attacking hero, the winner creates a toughness token. You may put your revealed card on the bottom of its owner's deck. So I don't hate it for Tuffnut, right? Maybe at the yellow, of course, we're talking about sixes that are going to generate the most resources off the top. But to be honest with you, just looking at this set, and this is kind of a spoiler alert, KO Armed and Dangerous is going to be good, right? And, just going to be beating you at a lot of these clashes. So the Clash dream, I don't think is going to happen in CC. Now, listen, I would love to see a mad bud out there build the Tuffnut Clash LL deck, because from my understanding, maybe that format might be a little bit easier to win these clashes based on what I've seen winning these LL tournaments. So I can't really speak to that though. I got to play more of it. But tough smash up. Low stale could move up in the rankings based on a meta call. Next we have Turn the Crowd Grateful. This is another cycle. Comes in all three colors: red, yellow, and blue. Blocks for 2, attacks for 7, 6, and 5. It's a revered attack action card. Costs 3. When this attacks a reviled hero, this gets +1. When you hit a reviled hero, the crowd cheers you. This is limited rotten garbage. I mean, it's whatever. 3 for 8 if you run into a reviled hero. Sure, it's good, but it's just not really going to happen a lot. Next we have Who's the Tough Guy? Me, maybe. This comes in all three colors. It's a common. And it costs 2. Attacks for 7, 6, and 5. When the combat chain closes, if this didn't hit, the defending hero creates a toughness token. And it blocks for 2 if I didn't say that. A 2 for 7 is kind of interesting. I think we have better options for like Tuffnut. This is the kind of swing big text we've seen, and giving a toughness token isn't the end of the world, but the block 2 is just really not selling it for me, and I think we're just going to have better 2-cost attacks for both heroes, to be honest. So I'm going to say stats wise, I'm going to just give it the low stale. Just it's saving it from a rotten score. Next card's interesting. Cheers. This is a blue 0-cost revered action aura that blocks for 3. Says go again. When this enters or leaves the arena, the crowd cheers you at the start of your turn. Destroy this. So in Pleiades, you get 2 turns in a row of confidence, which is really good, I think. And then in Tuffnut, I would say 2 turns of an extra toughness token, I think is fine. This since it's a blue, will see play in the rock version of the deck. I don't know if it sees play in regular normal brute stuff, Tuffnut, but I could see Cheers being a pretty interesting, just really good card to like make sure at least one attack is going to be confident in the next 2 turns with Pleiades. So for that reason, I got to give it like maybe it's a low fresh for Pleiades. I mean, that's where I would expect it to be, but yeah, it's really interesting. Next we have Heroic Grit. It's a yellow 0-cost revered action. Blocks 2. Your next attack this turn gets +1 for each toughness token you control, and this creates a toughness token. Go again. Listen. This could be like a 0 for 4 or 5, which I think is not bad, but I just don't. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I look at it with what's the card? Escalate Order, right? When this attacks, if you control a toughness token, create 3 more. So like if you played this before that, you're attacking for 10 at a minimum if you didn't get cheered before. So you could be 11, 2 for 11 with 2 cards. Not the worst, not the best. But I still think it's just not going to really... You're not going to have time to do it, I don't think. So I'm going to give it like a stale. I like this card. I like the potential of it, right? It's like, whoa, what if I like created a billion jillion toughness tokens and then this is going to buff something for a billion jillion? That sounds cool. So, I can see the potential. So it's a stale for now. Next, we have Heroic Pose. This comes in all 3 colors, and it costs 1. It's a revered action. It blocks for 2. Your next attack this turn gets +3, +2, or +1, and the crowd cheers you. Go again. This is just limited butteriness, I think. We're not really trying to buff like that in the revered heroes. So Heroic Pose for me is probably like a low stale. I think it's fine, but at the red. But even then, it's just Tuffnut doesn't have the time to do this, I don't think. And Pleiades, I think, is going to just be focusing on one big buff from the suspense auras, in my opinion. So low stale. Next, we have Humble Entrance, which is a blue, only comes in blue. Revered action card that blocks for 2, costs 0. Create 3 toughness tokens, go again. Hey, I think this sees play probably in the rock deck, right? It's a blue, it does something. And that's pretty much all you need. So, I think, Tuffnut will play it in that version of the deck, the all blue rock deck. I don't think Pleiades is doing this. So for that reason, it's like, I don't know, maybe a high stale. I do like it. Like, right. You're converting this into a 3 block, which will just block something way better in a tall method. So yeah, it's fine. And then we have Darling of the Crowd, which is a yellow, only comes in yellow, blocks 3. It's a revered block. While this is defending, if you've been cheered this turn, it gets +1. This is fine. I mean, you got to do some work for it. It's probably like a low stale. And last revered card is Not So Mighty, which is, I'm going to spoil it, a reviled card. Or it's a rotten card. Sorry. Whoa. I mean, not to, it was like a Freudian slip. Not So Mighty is a blue revered block that blocks 2. When this defends a reviled hero's attack, destroy a might token they control if you do create a toughness token. I mean, even if it said defends a hero's attack, destroy a might token, it wouldn't be good enough against KO Armed and Dangerous. So, not so good. Rotten for Not So Mighty. And now we have Reviled. KO, underhanded cheat. I'm going to say right out the gates, not really sure how good this hero is going to be, but really interesting nonetheless. KO, underhanded cheat, 4 intellect, 40 health, Revered Brute hero. You start the game with 1 weapon zone, just like Armed and Dangerous, although the wording changed a little bit. Instant, pay 4 resources and tap KO. Target attack action card you control has 6 base attack. Whenever the crowd boos you, create a Vigor token. So the Vigor token is going to be helpful to get that extra resource to activate the ability. And clearly, KO wants to make cards 6 and not play cards that are 6. So this is a little bit different than other brutes. So we're going to see cards that probably have lower starting base attack that KO is going to want to turn into, more formidable attacks. Buffs will be good with this because they're going to stack on top. This is essentially going to be buffing attacks by however much the base is subtracted by 6. So it is an interesting hero. I don't know how this is going to play in Constructed, but I can say from a limited perspective, it was a lot of fun to play. So let's get right into it. Laughing Knee Slappers is just like the other two that we saw. Reviled Brute equipment legs, blocks for 1, blade break. You control might and a vigor token, it gets +2. This is probably rotten. Like we said, same with Tuffnut. I mean, Scab Skin Leathers does exist. So we're going to just kind of sweep that off to the side and get into a majestic here. Outside Interference. Oh, blue 6. Okay, this one does actually have 6 power. But this is a blue 3-cost 6 attack, 0 block Reviled Brute attack action. And it has an ability that says instant. Discard this. You may reveal a Reviled attack action card from your inventory and put it into your hand. These kinds of effects are strong. And this is a blue 6. I mean, not really sure how relevant that's going to be for KO Underhanded Cheat, but the effect feels very strong. So I'm going to give it a fresh, like high fresh. Could end up playing like a fresh to death here. I am curious though, because it is very, very interesting. Like, what are you going to grab? I guess we'll probably see. We're going to look at some Reviled attack action cards coming up. So pretty interesting. Next is Big Bully. This is a red, super rare, 2-cost, 4 attack, 3 block Reviled Brute attack action card. When this attacks a hero, if you have more life than them, the crowd boos you. If you've been booed this turn, this card's base attack is doubled. Okay, so you're going to want to turn this into a 6, right? And make it 12. Pretty good. 12 for 6 resources is, I guess, pretty good, right? I mean, 12 is hard to block. I mean, we've seen cards in the past in Brute just dominate at 12 attack. So I think, well, not with dominate, but you know what I mean. Like really just be aggressive and hard to block. So Big Bully, I think, is probably a fresh to death, right? This is a easy card to just like really set up for a nice big turn. And I think that feels like what KO wants to do. So Big Bully, fresh to death. And yeah, I like this card a lot. And the art, fantastic. And now we have Cheater's Charm. There might have been a rule change on this. I'm not really sure, but I'm just going to read it as is. And we'll figure it out. Choose any number. Steal a confidence or toughness token. The crowd boos you. If you control an attack with 6 or more power, deal 2 damage to target hero unless they discard a card. 2 damage is pretty good, right? You know, unpreventable. I mean, I guess it is preventable, but, you know, uninteractable is very good. I mean, and you can kind of play around the discard part, make them overblock towards the end of the game, and then booing you, it's going to generate a resource with the vigor, and then occasionally you'll steal confidence or toughness token. I think that third ability is pretty interesting. I think this is kind of how KO is going to work, right? You're presenting an attack that you can easily turn into something really big, right? Like even look at Big Bully. Your opponent's going to have to make a decision, right? How am I going to block all this? If I want to give up all my cards and whatever, we'll move on. You can kind of just get a free 2 damage. Or you can, if they down to 1 card, you can say, well, you take the 2 damage or just not have a turn next turn. So Cheater's Charm, I think, is probably like a low fresh. I like this card. I think this is just kind of how KO's going to play, right? And he's going to steal some victories along the way. Speaking of stealing victories, the next card is Steal Victory. It's a super. And it's a blue Reviled Brute block that blocks for 3. When this defends, steal an aura token the attacking hero controls, gain control of it. This is actually good. This is a good block card, right? Because heroes are creating aura tokens left and right. Ponder tokens. Oh, nice ponder token off of your Codex of Frailty. I'll take that. Oh, nice rune chant. Actually, no, you're not going to be able to steal rune chant because they would have attacked unless you create it on the back end. Now that does happen sometimes. So you steal rune chant. You could steal a decent amount of things, right? So I think this is a good blue. This is a good blue for KO. I mean, sure, it's not going to do some stuff in some matchups, I guess, but also still blocks for 3, and if you don't need to block, it's a blue pitch for KO's ability. So I like Steel Victory, and I think I'm going to give it a solid fresh. Stealing is, well, it's not nice, but it seems to be good in this game. Next we have Offensive Behavior. Holy moly. This is a blue 0-cost Reviled Brute attack action card that attacks for 2, blocks for 3. It's a rare. If you control a Might or Vigor token, this gets +1. When this hits a hero, create a Might and a Vigor token. So I do like this card. It's a blue, first of all, blocks 3, sure. You can turn this into a 6, and if you control a Might or Vigor token, this is going to attack for 7, which is a nice little breakpoint to create another Might and Vigor token to make the next turn, even better. So, I like Offensive Behavior. I think it's a solid fresh. It's like a good blue to play in the deck, right? I think we're just seeing these decks in the game, right? Gravy's one of them, where when you and like all the MST heroes, if you want to play blues, right, just play good ones, right? And you can, and all of a sudden you're just like, and these heroes that just want to play a lot of blues are going to do some really powerful stuff. So KO Unrated Cheat with Offensive Behavior seems pretty good. Now let's move on to the scary man. Lith Goldman Vile Savant is the Reviled Guardian hero. 5 intellect. It's a lot of cards. This is the first time we've seen this. If you listen to the podcast, you know I have my concerns. It has 40 health as well. So more than Riptide. Just saying. But there is a downside to being this hero. The base attack and defense of your cards you control are halved, rounded up. So 5 becomes 3. 3 only goes down to 2. And then it has Lith has 2 other abilities. First one is instant pay 2 resources and tap Lith. The crowd boos you. Defending action cards you control get +1 this turn. So basically, you give up a card to have a normal deck or normal hand, right? That blocks like normal. And then whenever the crowd boos you, create a Might token. So just like Tuffnut, Lith has a pretty consistent way to get booed. Not cheered, but you know what I mean. Off the bat, I think this hero is going to be good and not going to play like a Guardian. I think that is going to be abundantly clear. And the ability is very good, right? The pay 2 resources to boo and make everything block normal is pretty good when you pitch a blue and you have 1 more resource to block with like a Rampart's head or whatever. So the math is mathing big time on Lith Goldmane. Let's get into the cards. Quickly skip over Strong Stomach for Adversity. It's a Reviled Guardian Equipment chess piece. Blocks for 1. Blade Break. If you control Confidence and a Might token, this gets +2. Whatever. These limited equipment. Rotten. Next one, not so rotten. Leave Them Hanging is a 3-cost red Reviled Guardian instant aura that blocks for 3. Majestic. Has suspense. This enters the arena with 2 suspense counters, yada, yada, yada. When this enters the arena, intimidate target hero. Interesting. Guardians getting intimidate now. And when this leaves the arena, your next attack this turn gets +4. Instant Intimidate is good. And then also giving something +4 that, had its attack halved is good as well. This is kind of a fresh to death, I think. I mean, this card is, you just have to play it, right? This is a really powerful effect on a really, in a hero that's really going to abuse it, I think. And, when you're not blocking so well and you can intimidate on their turn, it's gonna go well for you. So leave them hanging, fresh to death, no doubt. Next is 2 Steps Ahead, which is a blue 0-cost Reviled Guardian Reviled Guardian action aura, blocks for 3. It's a super. At the start of your turn, destroy this, then create a confidence and 3 might tokens. Like I said before, the math on Lith with blues sounds really good, and this is a really good blue. You have to give up a turn, but like with suspense, you're gonna like take off turns all the time, and then confidence is really good, and 3 might tokens is really good. So yeah, this is probably like a really high fresh, I think, for the deck. Very important to close out games, I'm sure. Confidence is important. So yeah, 2 Steps Ahead, quite good. Next we have Liar's Charm, which is yellow, 0-cost, Reviled Guardian instant. Choose any number. Steal a toughness or vigor token. Crowd boos you. Target hero loses and can't gain abilities this action phase unless they discard a card. Yeah, I think that last one is really good, right? If you do this to KO Armed and Dangerous, they have to discard a card, right? Because like all of a sudden your wild rides could miss and you're, not having a good time. So I think that is a really solid effect. I can't imagine it not being a really good effect. So seeing that, I think this might be the best one. Could be like a high fresh Liar's Charm. Holy moly. I am interested to see if I'm correct on that one. Let me know in the comments, of course, if I'm wrong. I don't read them. No, I'm kidding. I do. Next we have Truth or Trickery, which is a Reviled Guardian block card. Blocks for 3. It's a yellow. When this defends, you may look at the top card of your deck and choose a color. If you do, the attacking hero guesses if that card is the chosen color. Then they look at it. If they guess wrong, they discard a card. So, this one's kind of interesting. I think this is better than limited because you don't really know what kind of split they're on. I think this is a little bit too easy to kind of read, I think, maybe in constructed, like, because if you know what like the general like rate, or not rate, the split is between blues, yellows, and reds in a Lith deck, you would just always guess the most common one. Like if they're on like 50% blues per se, and they look at the top and they're like, it's a red, you're like, it's a blue, and you just like, whatever, it's still block 3. I think it's probably a little too cute for constructed, but I like it. I think it's like a high stale. I think it could actually end up in the deck. And then we have Spew Obscenities. Excuse me. Reviled Guardian attack action card. It's a yellow, costs 0, attacks for 3, blocks for 3. If you control a confidence or a might token, this gets +1. You will likely only attack with this when you boo, which is pretty easy with Lith. This gets +1, so it goes down to 2 and then back up to 3. And then when this hits a hero, create a confidence and a might token. I don't know if this is good enough for. I think we're going to see a lot of other attacks that might just do more important things in constructed than just this. This is like a fine attack, I think, because you're going to, be buffing it and whatever. But I do like that it's a 0. Now, I will say I played against a Lith deck the other day that was running Razor Reflex, and you're just like, oh boy. Here we go. It's the Razor Reflex deck. Spew Obscenities coming in for like 7 go again or something like that. You're like, oh my god. So, it could be good. I'll give it like a low fresh to be safe. I don't know if it's going to make the deck because looking ahead, there's some crazy cards. This is not one of them. This is a limited card, Horns of the Despise. Reviled Equipment Headpiece, blocks 1. When this defends, the crowd boos you. Blade Break. This is rotten, limited stuff. And then Mighty Bone Knuckles, Reviled Equipment Arm Piece that blocks for 1 with Blade Break. Action, pay 3. Destroy this, create 3 Might tokens. Activate this only if you have more life than each other hero. Go again. This one may be fringe, but like a low stale, I would say, if anything. But we won't not spend any more time on it. Next is a card that I hate with all my being. Bully Tactics. A Majestic. It's a red 0-cost reviled attack action card that attacks for 3 and blocks 3. When this attacks a hero, you may pay up to 3 resources. Intimidate them that many times. Okay. Let me take a sip of my tea. Yeah, this is a fresh to death. This is like, okay. Yeah, attack. I will pay 3, and you have 1 card left if you are a 4 intellect hero. And, oh yeah, by the way, I buffed this a bunch of times. Or I'm KO, and I'm going to buff it up to 6. Yada, yada, yada. I think this is exactly what Reviled is going to want to do. Sneak in some kind of really just like devastating attack with bully tactics. This is kind of probably the reason that the one card, not Money Where Your Mouth is, the one that got banned, the blue from heavy hitters. This is gonna be a problem. Maybe. I think it is. I mean, it's like you get to a certain point in the game, you're like, okay, once they draw bully tactics, if I don't kill them before they draw it, I'm dead because they got me down to X amount of life, and I'll only be able to block so much if they send bully tactics like on full blast. So good card, fresh to death. Fix the match. Oh man, in limited I got totally destroyed by this card. Fix the Match is a yellow 0-cost Majestic 3 attack 2 block reviled attack action card. When this attacks, search your deck for a card, then shuffle. Put that card on top. Whenever a card defends this, clash with the defending hero, the winner creates a Might token. So in KO, you're sending this and threatening 6, right? So you're going to grab something that ideally you want to win with a clash, right? So opponent's like, oh, well, how much do I care about taking 6? What do I do? So Fix the Match is going to be a difficult card to defend. And it's going to generate a lot of value. It's good in Lith as well with some buffs. It's just like a really high fresh. I think this card's really good. I like the control and like the control that you have with it. And then being able to just tutor up something is good. This might be a fresh to death as well, to be honest. Let's be honest. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll get something that's going to definitely win a clash or just something I need next turn. I'll go get bully tactics. So, yeah, this is a good one as well. Next, we have Battered, Beaten, and Broken, which is a super rare. It says 0 cost yellow. Reviled attack action card. Attacks for 1 and blocks 3. So, 1's nice for Lith especially, and for KO, because who cares? The 1's turning into a 6, and Lith doesn't have to worry about this attack getting halved. When this attacks a hero, intimidate them. Cool. If you control 3 or more auras, this gets +3, and when this hits a hero, destroy an intimidated card they own. Which is the Splatter Skull text, I think. Yeah, this is another good card, right? So intimidate on attack is pretty good. You got to be able to time it with auras. We're going to see some good cards that will create auras, and yeah, this is going to be a pretty good card to attack with. I mean, with KO, if you're hitting the +3, this is going to most likely come in for 9 if you activate, and then with Lith, if you're online, it's going to attack for 4, which is a break point. So this is like a really solid fresh. Getting the 3 auras, you're going to have to time it correctly, but I think these heroes have plenty of tools to do that. Next we have Escalate Violence. Oh, what a way to create more auras. This is a blue, cost 1, Reviled attack action card. It's a super, attacks for 3 and blocks for 3. When this attacks, if you control a might token, create 3 more. Both heroes have pretty easy ways to do this. I think that KO, can do it with the Apex arms, and then clearly Lith can do it with the Boo and the hero ability. So this is a great way to create a bunch of might tokens and just kind of continue to pump stuff each turn. This is a glue card. It's a blue, sure, it's going to come in for 2 base and block for 2 with Lith, but I wouldn't worry about the block so much. And I think, there's going to be off turns. And if this is an off turn where you're just attacking for 2 and creating a bunch of might, I think that is totally fine. So, this is like a solid fresh Escalate Violence. Excuse me. Next is not gang violence. And the last one was Escalate Violence. This is Gang Robbery. This is a yellow, 0 cost, 1 attack, Reviled attack action card that blocks for 3. When this attacks, a hero steal an aura token they control. If you control 3 or more auras, this gets +3. Yeah, I think this is like a really high fresh. I mean, we talked about it with the other card that steals. Well, which one was that? That was Steal Victory. I mean, stealing tokens is good, right? And whether it's going to be a Ponder. Now this could actually steal the Rune Chant. Funny enough, a little bit easier. So I like this a lot with KO and Lith, to be honest. I think this is probably a really high fresh as well. These cards, are a little bit flashier than the Revered cards. I guess maybe it is good to be the heel or whatever. So very interesting. Next we have Tear Down the Idols. This one is not going to be as playable. This is probably it's fine. It's a red super rare that costs 3, attacks for 7, blocks 3. Fine stats. When this attacks a revered hero, intimidate them. When this hits a revered hero, they discard a card. I do like the effects here. Now, it would really take for revered heroes to be in the meta a decent amount for this to kind of sneak in the sideboards. I don't know if that's going to happen. So it probably a low stale for now, and then could creep up into sideboard fresh at one point, depending on how things shake out. Next, we got the Old Switcheroo, which is a blue 0 cost 2 attack, 3 block Reviled attack action card. It's a super. Instant, discard this the next time you would clash with target hero this turn. Instead, you reveal the top card of their deck, and they reveal the top card of your deck. If you win the clash, they discard a card. This is probably more for limited just because there's more clashing going on. If there's more clashing going on in CC, maybe this is playable. Certainly and a weird one. It's very fun. It is very fun. I'm going to give it a sideboard stale because maybe it does end up being something. So we'll see. Next, we have Rip Up Their Virtues, which is a Reviled instant super. It's blue, costs 0. Destroy up to 3 toughness tokens. Create a might token for each token this destroyed. That for each token destroyed this way. This is a limited card. I'm going to say probably rotten, maybe sideboard, stale at some point. But yeah. It's going to really take Tuffnut to be at the top of the meta, which I don't know if he's going to do it. But I'm pulling for you, Tuffy. Next, Fight Dirty. This is a rare, only comes in one color, red. It's a 3 cost, 7 attack, Reviled attack action card that blocks for 2. If this is defended by a revered card, this gets +1. When this hits a revered card, destroy the top of their deck. Rotten. This is, I don't even know, will be good enough if revered is top of the meta. So stay away from that. Next, let me take a sip here. Thank you for bearing with me and spending time with me. This is Mocking Blow. This is a rare that comes in all 3 colors. And it is a Reviled attack action card that costs 0, attacks for 1, and blocks 3. Attacks for 1 in all the colors. And when this attacks a hero, if you have more life than them, the crowd boos you. If you've been booed this turn, this gets +4. This is a good attack, right? It gets +4, +3, and +2, I should say. So pretty easy to go 0 for 5 here in both heroes. KO is going to turn this into a 10, right? The blue's probably good there too. Lith kind of likes this. This is pretty potent in that deck as well, with a lot of attack. I like it a little bit more in KO, I think, just because it's like a nice source of booing, and then also like kind of just buffing this up. It just seems so good. So I'm going to give it like a fresh. It was like really good and limited, but it's just like raw numbers, Mocking Blow, which, is totally fine. Next, we have Overturn the Results. This is a blue 3 cost, 5 attack, 3 block, Reviled attack action card. If you would fail to win a clash revealing this, instead you win the clash and the crowd boos you. So this is what you go get with Fix the Match, right? You're gonna win no matter what. So this is just kind of the cheat code, right? You're always gonna in in Lith, you're going to create 2 mites by attacking with Fix the Match and grabbing Overturn the Results. In KO, you're going to get a might and a vigor. This is just a nice little 2-card combo. So I guess this is like a pretty high fresh. Overturn the Results. And it's a blue. So I don't really see a downside to this card. Next is Cheap Shot, which I lost to a decent amount this past weekend. Yellow, 0 cost, Reviled action that blocks for 2. If you've been booed this turn, you may play it as though it were an instant. Deal 2 damage to target hero unless they discard a card. This in Constructed might be like a nice one-off. I think like it dealing 2 out of nowhere, we know from Reckless Swing can win a lot of games. And this one has a little bit more agency. Lith can boo on command to make this instant. So maybe it does see a little bit of play in Lith. So maybe like a low fresh. I don't know if it sees 3 copies though. Interesting card. Definitely. I mean, it blocks 1 for Lith, which is kind of annoying. I mean, unless you get booed. So it's not the best. Next we got Sadistic Scowl, which is a rare, only comes in 1 color. This is a red 3-cost reviled action that blocks for 2. Your next attack this turn gets +5. Intimidate target hero. Go again. I think Lith wants to play this. Right? It's a lot of buff, and the intimidate is pretty good. And Lith is gonna have a lot of cards for the turn that Lith wants to do the Lith thing. So the resource thing is not gonna be that big of an issue. So I would say this might be like a low fresh for Lith. I don't know if KO's playing it, but we'll see. Certainly could. Sadistic Scowl. I don't know. I don't really know. That was a tough one. I mean, it's just like it's a good effect, right? So next we got Arrogant Showboating, which is a blue rare, only comes in 1 color. Reviled instant, create a might token for each defending card controlled by an opponent on the combat chain. Yeah, I mean, this could create a lot of might tokens. I guess maybe this is like a sideboard stale. You bring it in against like a fatigue deck, and you're just like, oh, they're gonna block my big attack all the time. So you're just like, well, I'll just get 4 might tokens out of this. But I don't know. You know, there's just some matchups where it's just not going to be good, and it's going to be a no block in your hand. So yeah, maybe like a sideboard stale. Next is Concealed Object, which is another rare, blue, only comes in 1 color, 0 cost, reviled instant item. When this enters the arena, the crowd boos you. Instant, tap this, target attack gets +1. At the beginning of your end phase, destroy this. It's nice little quick boo access, and then like a +1. Maybe like it's a nice way to like get people on Mocking Blow, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think it's probably good enough for Constructed. I could be missing something though there. So maybe like a stale to be safe. Going into the commons for Reviled cards, we got Bask in Your Own Greatness, which comes in all 3 colors. It's a 0 cost that attacks for 4, 3, and 2. It's a Reviled attack action, and it blocks for 2. When this attacks, you may pay up to 3 resources and create that many might tokens. I do like these cards. We know you want to play blues in these decks, and kind of sending something that's going to set up for a bigger turn. I kind of like Lith probably wants to do a setup turn with Bask in Your Own Greatness. Now, I mean, the 4, 3, and 2 really is like for Lith, you're looking at 3, 2, and 1. So like it's not, or actually it's 2, 2, and 1. So it's really not a really great offensive card. So I don't know if we've just seen so many powerful cards in Reviled. Is Bask in Your Own Greatness good enough, right? Is the question. It's so good and limited, but is it good enough in Constructed? I'm going to say high stale for Bask in Your Own Greatness. I could be way off. It could be just like a really high fresh, or just it will never see play. This one's a really hard one to evaluate. Next, we got Clench the Upper Hand, which comes in all 3 colors. 0 cost, 4, 3, and 2 attack. Reviled attack action card that blocks for 2. When this attacks or defends, if you have more life than the other hero, the crowd boos you. I think that this is probably not good enough. And I think it's probably more limited chaff. And I'm going to give it a rotten, actually. I just don't know if this, like, if either hero is so starved that they're going to be playing a pretty mid defensive card and just an okay offensive card. Now we got the Goon trilogy here. So Goon Battery, they're all going to be the same stat line. Blue, 0 cost, 1 attack, and 3 block. Reviled attack action cards. So Goon Battery says if you control 3 or more auras, this gets +3, and when this hits a hero, tap them. Could be decent. You know, there's a decent amount of heroes now since High Seas that care about tapping. So, I mean, a lot of them can kind of activate in response. Marlin, I guess not so much, but like the relevant ones can, like Gravy can just do it. And then I guess Tuffnut, it's kind of a bummer. And then, you know, KO, whatever. That one kind of is a sticky one, but Lith doesn't care. And I guess Pleiades doesn't care either. So this one's just okay. I think this is probably like a stale. The +3 is nice, but getting the 3 orders is kind of like the toughest part here. Now, Goon Beatdown, same stat line, says if you control 3 or more auras, this gets +3, and when this hits a hero, the crowd boos you. This is more of a on hit that is always relevant. So I actually like this one quite a bit, especially in KO, right? Where you're kind of boo starved. You don't have the boo on your hero ability. So Goon Beatdown to me is like a fresh, right? I think that this is, you know, good enough, right? You know, if you can get those auras, you're going to have to really fight for them. You're going to have to make sure you're playing cards to create these auras. So maybe basking your own greatness is actually pretty important. But then again, the might tokens pop. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Goon Tactics is... I gave Goon Beatdown like a fresh. Now, Goon Tactics, same stat line. If you control 3 or more auras, this gets +3. And when this hits a hero, destroy the top card of their deck. Not as relevant, but I think still fine, right? I think it's probably right in with Goon Battery, where it's kind of like, could be like a high stale. You know, destroying cards off the top of the deck. I mean, you know, you hit a power card and you're feeling pretty good. It's just not really as important as Goon Beatdown, I don't think. Next we have Instill Fear, which comes in all 3 colors, attacks for 3, 2, and 1. It's a 0 cost reviled attack action card that blocks for 3. And when this attacks a hero, intimidate them. I'm going to go ahead and say the only one that is playable is Instill Fear. Or it is Instill Fear, is the blue one. And that is because it's you know, right? You're going to be buffing things, right? Look at KO. KO is going to make it a 6 anyway. And then Lith doesn't get any kind of negative attack kind of debuff from the hero ability at 1 power. So the Intimidate on the stick is good for 0. And then if you're buffing and stuff like that, I think this could be a force to be reckoned with. Now, moving on, I guess I would call the blue Instill Fear probably like a low fresh, to be honest. Like a nice gluey kind of card. Next, we have Low Blow, which is a 1 cost 3 attack Reviled attack action card. Only comes in 1 color, blocks for 3. If you've been booed this turn, this gets +3. This is just numbers. I don't really like the 1 cost stuff as much. Because they can in Lith, this will be coming in 1 for 5, and then I guess in KO, I mean, this could be, you know, 1 for 9, which is good. I think we have other things though that are going to be just a little bit better, right? The 1 doesn't matter as much for KO. So I'm going to give it like a stale. I think like the numbers can be pretty good in KO, but we're going to leave it there. Next we have Take That, which comes in all 3 colors. It is a Reviled attack action card that costs 0, attacks for 5, 4, and 3, and blocks for 2. And when the combat chain closes, if this didn't hit the defending hero, creates a might token. A 0 for 5 is good, right? At the cost of maybe giving a might token. Maybe, I don't know. I don't listen. I mean, I don't think it's good in Lith, but maybe a 0 for 5 is good in KO, but I'm not really sure. So, yeah, I can't really see it actually being like enough, right? Because you just the hero effect is just going to want to buff it to a 6. So it's going to be easy to block. It doesn't have go again on its own or anything like that. Probably like a low stale, maybe. Next, we have a limited card, which is Turn the Crowd Hateful. This is a 3-cost, 5 attack, 4 attack, and 3 attack. Right? I'm looking. Yeah. 5, 4, and 3. Reviled attack action card that blocks 2, and it costs 3. And when this attacks a revered hero, it gets +3. When this hits a revered hero, the crowd boos you. This is a limited only card. Rotten, I would say. Next is pretty interesting, though. Booze, which is just like Cheers, but it's booze. This is a blue 0-cost reviled action aura that blocks 3. It has Go Again. When this enters or leaves the arena, the crowd boos you. At the start of your turn, destroy this. Kind of like this in both heroes. It's a blue that blocks 3 that has boo generation. So I'm going to give it a fresh. I think booze is totally fine. And I would expect it to see play, probably in both those heroes, if I had to guess. As I would with the next card, Cruel Ambition, which is a nice way to get 3 auras for some of those cards that we talked about earlier. This is a common that only comes in red. It's a 0-cost reviled action card that blocks for 2, but it says create 3 might tokens, go again. Pretty simple and awesome art. And I think this is just a solid fresh. I think both heroes play it because they both want to do the buff thing and they both care about having the auras. This is nothing flashy. It's just doing what these heroes want to do. Now, next we have Revolting Gesture, which is only comes in 1 color, and it is a 1-cost red reviled action card that blocks for 2. The next attack this turn gets +3. Create a might token. Go again. I think Lith might like this. The buffs are pretty important for Lith, I think. I'm not really sure if KO is really doing a whole lot of this. Lith is like such a unique hero that, with the halving of the base attack, you look at like old Guardian cards and you're just like, well, I don't even know if I want to play those. But with KO has a little bit more of a real kind of pool to pull from, I think, where maybe the buffs don't matter as much, but we will see. But Revolting Gesture, I think, could see play in Lith, so I'm going to give it like a high stale. And then next we have Villainous Pose, which comes in all 3 colors. It's a reviled non-attack action that blocks for 2. And it costs 2, and your next attack this turn gets +4, 3, or 2. The crowd boos you, go again. This is probably just pretty good in Lith, I would say. Maybe, getting the boos, nice. The buff, the +4 is pretty good. I'm really interested to see how many buffs that Lith is running, because clearly in like limited, you're gonna run all the buffs you can, right? You're just gonna like buff something crazy and go off. I don't know if that's how Classic Constructed Lith is going to go. So I am not holding my breath for this card, but I could see it showing up in a couple of lists. So maybe it's like a stale. We'll see. Next, we have Disdainful Delight, which is a reviled block that blocks for 3. It's yellow. While this is defending, if you've been booed this turn, this gets +1. Maybe Lith cares about this. I mean, this is well, actually, no. It's still a 3 because Lith's ability only buffs action cards. This is a block, so this is not, I don't think, good. This is rotten. Comment if I'm wrong. And then finally, a card that is also rotten. This is not so tough. A blue reviled block card that blocks for 2. When this is defending a revered hero's attack, destroy a toughness token they control. If you do, create a might token. Yeah, so that's the reviled stuff. I mean, it's pretty interesting. I think Lith has, 5 cards is very high potential. KO is a little bit more of a puzzle, I think. And, we'll see. I mean, there might be some more clues in the generic brute stuff for KO as well, which we're going to get to right now. And we got a banger to start off with. It's Gauntlets of Tyrannical Rex, which is a legendary brute equipment arm piece. It has 2 defense and temper. And then it also has action. Pay 1 resource and tap it. Your next attack this turn gets +1. Activate this only if there is a card with 6 or more power in your pitch zone. Go again. So I think this is quite good. It's competing with Apex at the slot. KO, Armed and Dangerous, is really good at being able to activate this, and so is Tuffnut. I think they will probably both play it, right? I mean, you're going to be getting more +1s for KO over the course of the time that you're playing, I think, than you would with the other equipment slots. So I have to say, it's a legendary, so it's like probably fresh to death. And listen, KO Armed and Dangerous is looking real good, and this is not changing my opinion on that. So yeah, Gauntlets is awesome. I need to get me a pair. Next, Overbearing Presence. This is definitely a limited card. This is rotten, but we will read it anyway. Brute equipment chest piece that blocks for 1 with Blade Break. Action, pay 3 resources, destroy this, create 3 Vigor tokens. Activate this only if there is a card with 6 or more attack in your pitch zone. Go again. It's tough because you have to already have, just like with the Gauntlets, you already have to have the 6 or more in your pitch zone. So like you can't just have a blue 6, activate and pass, right? You have to have already done something with the 6 in your pitch zone. So a little bit tough. Tuffnut could do it pretty easily, but this is just not good for constructed. In the Majestics, we have Reckless Stampede, which is a red 2 cost, 7 attack, 0 defense, brute attack action card. Whenever a card defends this, clash with the defending hero. The winner deals 1 damage to the other hero. Each hero may put the revealed card on the bottom of its owner's deck. I mean, if you need to block this all out, there's going to be 3 clashes, right? I mean, on average, right? You can maybe, if you had a sink below, right? It could be just 2 clashes. But on average, I think this is going to be 3 clashes if you need to block it out, which could be 3 unpreventable damage in most matchups. I think this is quite good. I think this is a fresh to death. This card's very good. It's kind of like, what a finisher for Brute, honestly. I think all the Brutes are going to like this one. So, Reckless Stampede, very, very good. Fresh to death, in my opinion. I mean, this card's awesome. They definitely gave Brute some good stuff, including the next card, which is Show of Strength, which is a red Majestic 2-cost, 8 attack Brute attack action card that blocks for 3, just like our friend Swing Big. But this says this gets -1 for each card with 6 or more attack defending it. So certain decks are not going to be able to shrink this, but it's still going to take 2 6s to bring this down to a 6. And, I think it's still really good. You're just going to eat good cards out of their hand. It's not that great into the mirror. It's just a 2 for 6, really, like oftentimes, but it does still require defense, which I do really like. I think this is a fresh to death as well. And yeah, 2 banger Majestics for the Brutes. They want KO Armed and Dangerous to LL, I think. So we'll see. This could be an interesting PQ season. Next, we have Challenge the Alpha, which is a super. This is a yellow 3-cost Brute attack action card that attacks for 6 and blocks 3. When this attacks a Brute hero, this gets +2. When this hits a Brute, they discard a card. If it has 6 or more attack, you lose 2 life. Oftentimes, you're going to make them discard a card if it hits, and you're going to probably oftentimes lose 2 life. This is a sideboard card. If it's like a real Brute meta, which I think we might be getting into, 3 for 8, not bad. And, on hit discard is still relevant. Whatever, if you got to lose the 2 life, it's still, I think, worth it. This is like a sideboard, potential sideboard fresh. It could be worse, right? If there's not a lot of Brutes running around, if you got to prepare for other stuff. But if it's going to be a Brute meta, like I think it might be with KO, other Brutes or even KO can just start running this, and it could be a big way for that deck to just kind of get an edge in the mirror. So could be a sideboard fresh coming up. Next, we got Disturb the Peace, which is another sideboard card. This is a red super that costs 2, attacks for 6, blocks 3, Brute attack action card. This can't be defended by Guardian Auras. When this hits a Guardian hero, destroy an aura they control. This is probably for Pleiades. This is like sideboard high stale, low fresh, depending on how good Pleiades is. Because how many of the auras is Lith going to be playing? Maybe a decent amount. So if it becomes really prevalent, I could see this finding a home in some Brute sideboards. So it's not terrible. It's just on rate and has an on hit and makes it hard to be defended. So that is something. You should be able to get a decent amount of value out of that in certain matchups. After that, we have Energetic Impact, which is a blue Brute attack action card. It's a super, costs 3, attacks for 5, blocks 3. So in KO Armed and Dangerous, this is a 6. When this defends together with a card with 6 or more attack, create a Vigor token. Yeah, this is this is so good in KO, right? You can't block with another 5 because, while it's on the combat chain, it's 5, but you got to just block with whatever, one of your 6s. And, you're going to be creating a Vigor. This is in a good blue. Yeah, things are looking up for KO. I think this is it's gonna be KO's season, I think. And I wonder if this card's also good. Excuse me, this is Smashing Ground, which is a blue Brute attack action card. It's a super, costs 3, attacks for 5 and blocks 3. It's a 6 off the combat chain. But if it has a 6 or more attack, it gets, when this hits a hero, destroy a card in their arsenal. There you go. That's just CNC. You created a Might the last turn with KO. You're off to the races. It's good in new KO as well. Pretty easy to get this up to a 6, if not more. So Yeah, I think this one's like fresh to death. What did I give energetic impact? I think that should be probably fresh to death as well for the next 2 months. Then it might kind of shrink back down. Next is the card that I spoiled, Smash the Big Rock, the Rock Overstock. Yellow, 2 cost, 6 attack, 0 defense, brute attack action card. Cards defending this can't gain defense. Pretty narrow. Pretty good in limited. Actually, like pretty great in limited. But I think it's a little too narrow unfortunately, too narrow for Classic Constructed. Maybe, as more cards get printed, this card can get increasingly good in sideboards. So, there are things like the defense reactions that Florian plays. I'm, blanking on their name right now. I should know them. They play them against me all the time, but I try to forget. But, it's good against toughness, of course. Things like, even like with reinforced lines, stuff like that. There's a lot of cards right now that exist that it's good against. I just don't think there's enough being played that it warrants this being in sideboards. But we're going to give it a sideboard fresh to death one day. But probably sideboard low stale for now. And even that's a little generous. Next is Song of Sinew, which is a yellow, 0 cost, brute, non-attack action that blocks for 2 and is super. Reveal the top 4 cards of your deck. Your next attack this turn gets +X, where X is the number of cards with 6 or more power revealed this way. Put them back in any order. Go again. This is a nice 0 for 4 buff in KO. Even in Tuffnut, this works. And Tuffnut is nice because you get to put whatever you want back on top for your pitch. Yeah, I like this card a lot. I think it's a solid fresh. I don't know how much play it's going to get, but geez, I mean, like, it's still nice to be able to set up your next 4 cards however you want. Like, even in like Rhinar, if you're playing like Wild Rides, like, let's say you don't hit like whatever, you hit X amount, but like, you're like, okay, well, I can guarantee I'm going to draw a 6 so I won't miss on my Wild Ride or whatever. So I like Song of Sinew quite a bit. Next, we have Strongest Survive, which is a rare that comes in all 3 colors. And it attacks for 7, 6, and 5. Excuse me. When this hits a hero, they discard a card unless they reveal a card from their hand with attack greater than the damage dealt this way. So in some matchups, this is like, you gotta block it, right? Because you have to do greater, right? So you can't just block 3 and reveal 4. You'd have to reveal 5. You can't block 6 and reveal 1. You have to reveal 2, right? So there are some matchups where this is going to be really tough. I don't know if it's going to be good enough, though. Like, it's just, like, a 3 for 7 is good, but like, maybe we are probably like not enough like decks really care. Like, some will just like whatever, take it, and they'll discard their worst card and still have a better turn than you. And then others will be able to block and still reveal something and not have to worry about it. So I like it. It's going to be like fringe playable. Like, this is like a textbook stale, I think. Next, we got Vigorous Roar, which is a rare. Comes in 1 color. It's red. It's a 0 cost brute non-attack action that blocks for 2. Your next attack this turn gets +3. If there is a card with 6 or more attack in your pitch zone, create a Vigor token. Go again. This is more of a limited card. It's fine. Like, you can get a decent amount of value, I think. Like, maybe even KO, but it's still, we don't need to be running that many buffs. So I like it, but I think it's probably like low stale. Next card is pretty interesting, though. Visit the Boneyard. Put a card with 6 or more attack from your graveyard on top of your deck. Create a Vigor token. This is a Brute instant that's blue and costs 0. I think there's a lot of use here, to be honest. Like, you can really manipulate a lot of cool stuff here. Create the Vigor, so you're like kind of cashing it in to be a red for your turn. Like if you play it on your opponent's turn, and then you can kind of manipulate the top. We like manipulating the top, especially with draw discard. You like manipulating the top with Tuffnut's ability. I like this card a lot, but it might not generate as much value as we need it to. But maybe we're going to give it a high stale. I have hope for this card one day. It's a powerful effect. So we will see. Next is Asking for Trouble, which is a yellow Brute block card that blocks for 4. When this defends, create a Vigor token under the attacking hero's control. I don't know if this is a good trade-off. This feels more like a limited card to kind of deal with confidence. Blocking 4 is good, but I don't know how many. Yeah, I don't know what Brutes are going to want to play this, to be honest. Maybe Tuffnut, but even then, I'm not sold on it. So maybe like low stale. I mean, the stats are good, but I don't. I gotta see it. I gotta see it in action to see it to believe it. Bash Guardian, which is a 2-cost common, only comes in red, attacks for 6 and blocks for 2. Brute attack action card. When this is defended by a Guardian card, gets +1. When this hits a Guardian hero, destroy an aura token they control. This is too narrow. It's rotten to me. On to the next one. Familiar Stench, another pretty narrow card. Is only comes in red. It's common. It's a red. I think I said that already. Cost 2, attacks for 6, blocks 2. Brute attack action card. When 1 or more Brute cards defend this, create a Vigor token. Too narrow, not strong enough. Rotten. Next, please. After that, we got Buck Wild, which is a common that comes in all 3 colors. It costs 3 and attacks for 7, 6, and 5. If there is a card with 6 or more attack in your pitch zone, this gets Go Again. Yeah. I mean, I think this is quite good, right? This is going to work in KO if you're going a little bit higher on the blue count. Tuffnut doesn't hate this either. And I think even like Rhinar can make this work. I mean, the defense is not great, but this wants to be aggressive, right? 3 for 7 Go Again, like all the time. I think I'd take that. This feels like a pretty high fresh. This card is quite good. And I'm really interested to see, just see how powerful it really is. Because if I'm facing down 3 for 7 Go Again, and my opponent still has an arsenal and 2 cards in hand, I'm scared, right? If it's a Blood Rush Bella turn, I'm even more scared. So, very, very interesting card. And the blue is a 6 in KO. So, there you go. Next, we got Flex Speed, which comes in all 3 colors as a common. It costs 2 and attacks for 5, 4, and 3. And blocks for 3. It's a Brute attack action card. If this has 6 or more attack, it gets Go Again. So the 5 after a Might is a 2 for 6 Go Again that blocks 3. And that's good. I think that one's a little good, folks. I think this is a fresh. There's going to be a lot of 6s and 7s going again, I think. Maybe in KO. Do they even need to run Wild Ride anymore? I mean, I guess, but holy moly. I mean, this is just crazy. This is crazy. So love to see it. I don't know if the yellow or blue really see play. Maybe the blue and KO underhanded cheat, but these Brute cards are the KO Armed and Dangerous show for sure. Until this one. Excuse me. Flex Strength is a 2-cost common that comes in all 3 colors. It attacks for 4, 3, and 2. If this has 6 or more attack, it gets +3. It also blocks for 3, I should say. And yeah, I think the blue actually is pretty good in KO Underhanded Cheat, right? Because no matter what, this is going to turn into 9. Or not no matter what, but if you activate KO's ability, it's going to turn into 9. And it's a blue itself. It blocks for 3. I still don't know. Like, compared to Armed and Dangerous, Underhanded Cheat just is not doing it for me. But, well, it's doing something for me because I'm like, oh, it's bad. I should build that deck. The problem I'm working through. But yeah, Flex Strength, I think blue is probably like a fresh for Underhanded Cheat specifically. Next, we got Give Him a Piece of Your Mind. This is a common that comes in all 3 colors. Amazing art. It costs 2 and attacks for 7, 6, and 5. It's a brute attack action card that blocks for 2. And when the combat chain closes, if this didn't hit, the defending hero creates a vigor. We saw something similar to this. 2 for 7 with the kind of swing big text of giving something if they block it out. 2 for 7 is good. I mean, this is good. I just don't know. We're seeing a lot of other powerful stuff that doesn't give the opponent a vigor token. So it might just be a stale, but stats alone, it's worth looking at for sure. Excuse me. Next, we got High Pitched Howl, which is a common that comes in all 3 colors and attacks for 6, 5, and 4. When this attacks, if there is a card with 6 or more attack in your pitch zone, create a vigor token. And yeah, it blocks for 3. I think the yellow might be good in KO Armed and Dangerous because it's a 6. And then if you have to attack with it, you're most likely creating a vigor, so you're going to have better turns in the future. I guess I don't hate it. I think it may be like a low fresh, high stale. I mean, it's not that bad. But yeah, it's just okay though. Next we have Rough Up, which is a common as well. Same stats as High Pitch Howl. 2 cost, attacks for 6, 5, and 4, and blocks 3. And if there is a card with 6 or more attack in your pitch zone, this gets +1. This is a little bit more minuscule for something like KO. And even at red, I mean, the 2 for 7, blocking 3 is fine, but I think it's just okay. So I think we're seeing more powerful stuff. It's just kind of losing out on that. I'll give it a low stale. Maybe good in common or something like that, but I don't think it's going to do it in constructed. Next, we have Unexpected Backhand, which is a common that comes in all 3 colors. It attacks for 7, 6, and 5. It's a brute attack action card that costs 3 and blocks for 3. When you win a class revealing this, deal 1 damage to the other hero. I'm going to say this is probably like a low stale. It's a fine card. On the caveat that maybe the red in some amount will see play in KO Underhanded Cheat if KO Underhanded Cheat is going to play Fix the Match, because you can easily make Fix the Match all of a sudden, deal just extra damage, and that happened to me in limited, and it sucked. So that being said, maybe it's like build around low fresh at red. Don't really like the yellow there because, I don't know. You want 7. 7's a good number if you're clashing. And if you need to go grab, what's the other one? If you need to go grab Overturn the Results instead, you just do that in some matchups. After that, we got Vigorous Mashup, which we saw Tough Mashup. This is just like it. This is a common that comes in all 3 colors, attacks for 7, 6, and 5, and it costs 3, blocks for 3. It's a brute attack action card that says when this defends clash with the attacking hero, the winner creates a vigor token. You may put your revealed card on the bottom of its owner's deck. If we're clashing, sure. If we're not, I mean, I just don't think we're gonna get to that point for a bit, as long as KO is doing KO things. Now, KO might need to be defensive. I don't think so. I think KO is probably just gonna bash, but like I guess KO can just run these blues, right? It's not a bad blue, and you could just defend with it and create a vigor off of it. Seems okay to me. So, for that reason, maybe it's like maybe a stale could get in there. Decent card though. I mean, I'd love the full Clash Brute deck. That'd be really neat. And the last Brute card we have is Bark Obscenities, which is a rotten card for just limited, but it is a red only brute non-attack action and blocks for 2, and it costs 0. Your next attack that targets a guardian hero this turn gets +4. Go again. And yeah, it's just not good enough for constructed. A little bit too narrow, but you know, we're going to be barking obscenities at guardians, and we're going to do some guardian cards next. All right, here we go with some guardian cards, and we have a legendary right off the bat. Iron Fist Revelation, which is a guardian equipment arm piece, is a legendary. I think I already said that like 3 times. It blocks for 2 and has temper. And when this defends, you may turn a face down card with Crush in your arsenal face up. If you do, put a +1 attack counter on it. Interesting card. I think, it's I don't think the flashiest of the cards that we could be playing. I mean, it is upgrade from, I guess, the early Majestic that we had that gave Crush a bonus, but I think currently they play the one that I'm already kind of blanking on the name of it, where it's going like this, that one. But this is, I think it's fine, right? Like if you're trying to do Crush things, this could be good. I think maybe Valda likes it. But I guess maybe Pallades as well. I guess we'll kind of see what she wants to do. I mean, these Crush effects are really good, especially when you're getting a little extra bonuses on it. So, and I know from the Mastery Pack, there was some benefit from having a face-up card in your arsenal. So I'm going to give it a tentative high fresh. I think maybe it has some competition, but it could definitely be a little bit better than that for sure. And after that, we do have Stand Strong. This is a common guardian equipment leg piece that blocks for 1, has Blade Break, and an action, pay 3 resources, destroy this, create a confidence token, activate this only if you control an aura of suspense, go again. I don't know if this is overtaking Civic Steps, really, or some of the other like quick flex dodgers and stuff like that. Quick dodge flexors, one of the two. But I think that confidence tokens are quite good, but I don't know. I mean, Pallades is going to just get one from being cheered, so I just don't think you're going to need it on a stick like this. So probably going to give this a low stale. I could see the upside here, though. I don't think it's like totally worthless. Now, let's go to some Majestics. No Tall Tales. This is a yellow 0 cost guardian attack action card that attacks for 3 and blocks for 3. And it says if this has power greater than its base, it gets +1. So it cancels out the -1 that it would get in Lith, but also is just a nice little extra +1 for any other guardian that's pumping it. And it has Tower. If this has 13 or more attack, it gets, when this hits a hero, cards they own lose and can't gain go again during the next action phase. So, you know, a nice little, Spinal Crush effect here, right? if you're doing the tower thing, which I think like Pleiades is going to be able to do pretty often. I don't know about, and I guess to a certain extent, Lith is going to try to do something similar. And the nice thing about it, it's not a crush effect, so all it needs to do is hit, and it's coming in for 13 at a minimum when you have that text. So I think this is going to perform like a high fresh in probably both those decks. I think this is just really good. Like Spinal Crush is good when you want it, and I think this will be good for these kinds of decks that perhaps aren't doing the regular Spinal Crush thing. So, yeah, No Tall Tales I think is a high fresh. Next we have a card I think we saw pretty early, in spoiler season, but in the palm of your hand is a Guardian instant aura that blocks for 3. It's a red that costs 2. It's a majestic. It has suspense, and it says, when this enters or leaves the arena, draw a card. So this is very much a Pleiades card. I think being able to control when you get that second card is pretty good. And it is also just kind of like upside for her and what she's trying to do. Because like I said before, you want a certain amount of suspense auras that are going to be kind of like ones that you don't care about leaving. But this can also be a nice pop off, if you're lining it up with some other suspense cards to like get that extra card on your big turn. I think this is like a very solid fresh. It's not very flashy, I don't think, but this is certainly a good suspense card for her to have. I don't know if Lith is playing it. Maybe some of the other Guardians will try it as well. I mean, it's one card for 2 cards. It replaces itself, kind of. And, certainly, I mean, you have to pitch a card to play it. So it's like 2 cards for 2 cards. But the card coming later, I think, is quite good. We got another tower card here. This one's awesome. Cut a long story short, which is a yellow 0 cost, 3 attack, 3 block Guardian attack action. Has that same text from No Tall Tales, which says if this has greater power than its base, it gets +1. So again, canceling out the Lith tax, I guess we'll call it. And then it also has tower. If this has 13 or more attack, it gets when this hits a hero, they discard their hand. I mean, looking at this, this is a super rare compared to the majestic there. I mean, this is a brutal on hit if you hit the tower, right? They can't, your opponent can't just say, I will deal with only like taking some of this damage. They either have to block it all out somehow, or they're going to have to just lose some cards from their hand. So you just might as well block. It just forces your opponent into a really tough situation. I think this is a easy fresh, maybe a high fresh, could even play like a fresh to death. So it's not as narrow, I think. I mean, not that No Tall Tales is that narrow. Every deck wants to do go against stuff, but this feels just less narrow. It's just like you always want cards in your hand, so this is going to be a tough one to block. So you got to set it up, right? But all these cards are going to require setup. So I like that card a lot. Next, we have Cut Off at the Knees, which is another tower card. This is a yellow 0 cost. They all have the kind of same stat line, 3 attack, 3 block. And it has that same, if this has attack greater than its base, it gets +1. And then this tower says, if this has 13 or more attack, it gets when this hits a hero, destroy the top 3 cards of their deck. Which, I mean, listen, you're sending in a lot of damage. If we're going to grade these cards assuming that you're hitting tower. You're sending in a lot of damage, and then you are asking them to block it all, or they're going to lose 3 more cards out of their deck. So like it really gives you deck damage and regular damage, like a nice package. I mean, deck damage can be regular damage, but this is true, like serious damage and deck damage. So I do like this. I'm a little bit down on it because I don't know if every hero that's going to be able to do this wants to do it. Maybe we got some Mastery Pack stuff that I think that was doing a lot of this kind of mill effect. So I do like this card, but I think I'm going to give it like a low fresh. I'd be interested to see how much this gets played. And then we have maybe one more tower card? At least one more tower card. Cut the Small Talk. Same stat line, yellow, 0 cost 3/3. And if it has attack greater than its base, it gets +1. Tower, if this has 13 or more attack, it gets, when this hits a hero, destroy all auras they control. Now, this one's very narrow, but I think this is a good sideboard card, right? If you're doing the tower stuff and you're running into a hero that is going to be putting out auras, I mean, listen, nice Germinate, Florian. We are getting rid of all of those. Clearly Florian can block well, but still, at least it's 13 or more. So you can kind of wipe out a lot of kind of big OTK stuff there, as well as a ton of other auras that heroes care about. So I would say this is like a sideboard fresh. I would be shocked if these decks that are doing the tower thing don't have this in the sideboard, because it's a really good effect against a lot of good heroes. But very, very cool. And then we have another suspense card. This is Hungry for More. This is a 1-cost red super Guardian instant aura. Blocks for 2. It has suspense, and it says, when this leaves the arena, gain 3 life. This is, I guess, a fine one for Pleiades as like kind of the aura that you want to take the suspense counters off of to keep another one around. If you really like I'm not really sure what the critical mass of these kind of like sacrificial auras are going to be like, but I have to imagine this is a good one. It keeps you alive a little bit longer. Maybe it's like a low fresh, high stale, if I had to guess. I mean, it's not flashy, but I think it might just be a part of the game plan if I had to guess. But I wouldn't be shocked that this saw 0 play as well. So Hungry for More, interesting card. After that, we have Turn Heads, which is an awesome art. I think maybe Enki on Blue Sky mentioned that it was a great meme format. Turn Heads is a blue Guardian instant aura that costs 3 and blocks 3 and has suspense. And when this leaves the arena, tap target Brute hero. They don't untap during their next end phase. Unfortunately, very narrow, and certainly only going to be good in sideboards if Tuffnut and KO Armed and Dangerous are a real force to be reckoned with. Not Armed and Dangerous, I'm sorry. Underhanded Cheat. So I gotta give it like kind of a low stale. Like right now, right as it stands, I think it would be a low sideboard stale, if not rotten. But this keep your eye on it. Just know that this could be something that would be relevant in your sideboards. After that, we have Who Blinks First, another suspense card, which is a blue, costs 3, blocks 3, Guardian instant aura. Super, suspense, and when this leaves the arena, you may destroy an aura permanent that a Guardian hero controls. Kind of interesting. You can destroy your own, which is funny. I mean, it's like pretty narrow outside of that. Like, if you want to destroy your opponents, it needs to be against a Guardian, so it'd be a sideboard card. But funny enough, you can destroy your own suspense card if you just like want to get the extra value. I don't know if that's good enough. So a optimistic stale, I think. We'll see. I'm confused. I mean, I'm always confused, but confused about Pleiades. Like, what is that deck going to actually look like? Now, let's get into the rares. We have Full of Bravado, which comes in all 3 colors. It costs 3. It's a Guardian attack action card that attacks for 7, 6, and 5 respectively in its colors, and it blocks for 2. When this attacks or defends, if you control an aura of suspense, create a confidence token. This one's pretty interesting. Don't really love 2 blocks. This feels more like a limited card. I'd rather just have something that's going to cheer me to create that confidence. So I'm going to give this like a low stale, high rotten. If you really need the confidence more often, I think you probably play this, but I'm not sold on this in Constructed. Next, we have Story Beats, which is another rare that costs 3, comes in all 3 colors. Guardian attack action card that attacks for 7, 6, and 5, and blocks for 2. When this attacks or defends, you may put a suspense aura or suspense counter on or remove one from an aura of suspense you control. Jeez. I mean, the 2 blocks are so brutal, I think. Like, we just have so many good blocking cards in Guardian. I think you just want to play them. That being said, maybe you play the blue just to have a little bit more manipulation, like with your auras. So maybe like a high stale on the blue, if I had to guess. Could be just a straight up stale, but it's not flashy, but it kind of helps with the game plan, but it just blocks like doo-doo, unfortunately. So, interesting. Next, we have Bash Brute, which I'm going to spoil. Is probably just for limited. This is a red common. Costs 3, attacks for 7, blocks for 2. It's a Guardian attack action. If this is defended by a Brute card, it gets +1. When this hits a Brute hero, destroy an aura token they control. This is just limited, so probably rotten. Just not really efficient enough, even if there's going to be a lot of Brutes running around. I don't think. So, we'll see. I mean, that would be crazy if we start seeing KO Armed and Dangerous run around and all the Guardians are like, boom, Bash Brute, nice Might token. We're still going to take 17 damage from you next turn, but we got that Might token. I tell you what. After that, we have Familiar Story. Same stat line. It's a red. Only comes in 1 color. It's a common. Costs 3, 7, attack, 2 block, attack action card. When 1 or more Guardian cards defend this, create a confidence token. This is, I think, straight up rotten. I feel like the upside here is not even close to the Bash Brute, and that was not very good either. Moving on, a card I do think might be pretty good is Power Play. Common, comes in all 3 colors. It costs 3, and it attacks for 3, 2, and 1. It's a Guardian attack action card, and it blocks for 3. And it says if this was played from Arsenal, it gets +5. So I really like this in Lith, specifically at blue, right? Lith would shrink down the red and yellow, but the blue, since it's a 1, will not get shrunk. So you get to kind of just get this nice 6 attack out of your arsenal with all the other buffs you're doing. I think it's probably like a low fresh in Lith. I'm not really sure if any of the other Guardians are interested in this, but Lith seems to want Power Play, if I had to guess. So low fresh on Power Play. Next, we have Shoot Your Mouth Off, which is a common that comes in all 3 colors. Guardian attack action that attacks for 8, 7, and 6, and it costs 3, blocks for 2. When the combat chain closes, if this didn't hit the defending hero, creates a confidence token. We have a plethora of Guardian cards at similar rates that are going to offer a better on hit rather than a not hit. So this is rotten for me. I'd be shocked if we saw this in any list. After that, we have Short Shrift, which comes in 1 color. It is a yellow. It costs 0, attacks for 3, blocks for 3. It's a Guardian attack action. If this has attack greater than space, it gets +1. This is like, I think we have 3 of these. This is like the tower cards in that respect, except these have Crush. When this deals 4 or more damage to a hero, they discard a card. So, yeah, I mean, I think Short Shrift is a potent one. Discarding a card is a dangerous, effect. Sure, it needs to be crushed, but you're buffing, right, with both Lith and Pleiades. So I do think that this is actually pretty good. Probably a solid fresh. I mean, discard a card. I mean, that's decent, right? You know, if you're sending this for, you know, at least 7, right? If you give this +3, it's going to go, I mean, at least in Pleiades, is going to go up to 7. And you're asking for 2 cards, right? And, you know, for 0 resources, I think that's pretty good. After that, we have same stat line of small problem, except its crush is when this deals 4 or more damage to a hero, destroy an aura they control. A little bit more narrow. I don't think this is going to really make even sideboards. This is, you know, less of a devastating crush effect. So maybe if auras are really out of control, but even then, I mean, I guess this is maybe good against like Prism. So I should say that, right? So that could actually be a good enough reason, maybe. I mean, I know Guardian has trouble with Prism, so and Spectra, so small problem could be a big problem for Prism. Thank you. But I think sideboard stale still. After that, we have Wrecking Ball, the last of these, which is same stat line, except the crush is when this deals 4 or more damage to a hero, destroy a card in their arsenal. So this one's also probably at the same level as Short Shrift. Not quite as good, but certainly a potent effect. So I think this one's probably like a low fresh, you know, kind of like discard. The hierarchy goes discard, arsenal, and then aura way down there. So, you know, I think Wrecking Ball will be good enough. I think if you're doing this thing, if you're doing the crush thing, yeah, you're gonna be playing a card like Wrecking Ball. It's disruptive enough to make a difference. I think maybe more in like Lith, because you're gonna be sending like these 0 cost things a little bit more than Pleiades. I'm not sure. Next, we have Act of Glory, which comes in all 3 colors as a common. It costs 4, and it's a Guardian instant aura that blocks for 3. It has suspense, and it says when this leaves the arena, your next attack gets +6, +5, or +4 respectively for their colors. Yeah, I mean this +6 is a lot, right? This feels like a card that is kind of like above, or like at least the rate you want for Pleiades on the pop-off turn. You stack a couple of these, and it's going to be hard to really deal with. So I think Act of Glory is probably like a low fresh. If I had to guess, maybe it's just a solid fresh, and you just play them. I don't know if you play the yellows, but you might play blue and red. So because even at the blue, right, you're given +4, which is, you know, a break point on its own. That's, you know, so Act of Glory I think is probably good enough. After that, we have Dramatic Pause, which is a common that comes in all 3 colors. And it is 0 cost Guardian instant aura that does not block, but it does have suspense. And when this enters the arena, target defending action card gets +3 this chain link, or +2 or +1. Kind of like a pseudo like defense reaction here. So you kind of look at this and, you know, you play the red, first of all. You don't play any of the other colors, I don't think. And it could be good enough, you know. It could be another one of these suspense cards that you're going to just use to just like burn to keep the other ones around. Like a high stale on Dramatic Pause. I think it could be okay. It could be okay. I think, you know, whatever. It's a nice little defensive trick that could be fuel for Pleiades. I don't think you're playing it in Lith or any of the other Guardians out there. After that, we have Edge of Their Seats, which basically is Act of Glory, except just 1 resource less and 1 attack less. So this comes in all 3 colors. It costs 3. It blocks for 3. It's a guardian instant and has suspense. When this leaves the arena, your next attack gets +5, +4, and +3. I think the red is probably good enough. I don't know. Like, looking at the blue compared to Act of Glory, I'm not really sure. But I think this is a fine card. Probably like low fresh, high stale. I mean, it's just what this wants to do, I think, right? And like the cost is a little bit easier. It's going to just cost you, 1 blue at the red. And the same is probably going to go for the next card, which is Tension in the Air. This one actually might just be better because of the resource difference. This is it's 1 less from the last. It comes in all 3 colors. It costs 2. Guardian Instant Aura that blocks 3 and has suspense. And when this leaves the arena, your next attack this turn gets +4, 3, and 2 respectively. I think the red's a no-brainer here. So maybe you're playing the reds of all 3 of these because they're just going to be buffs. I don't know what the critical mass is of these suspense auras in your Pleiades deck that you really want, but this is fine in Lith as well, I think. So yeah, this is like a low fresh, maybe like solid fresh for at least the red. Interesting. Next, we got the Suspense is Killing Me, which is an interesting one. It only comes in blue. It's a common, costs 0, and it blocks for 2. It's a Guardian Instant Aura, has suspense, and it says your first attack each turn gets +1. So this one's kind of funny because you can kind of just keep it around. This one is like, once it's gone, it's gone. But I think it's more of a fun limited trick. So probably in the low stale range unless you really want this blue, but I think there's probably just better blues. So yeah, low stale for the Suspense is Killing Me. Next we have To Be Continued, which is another blue common that costs 0. Guardian Instant Aura that blocks for 2, has suspense, and it says the first time you be dealt damage each turn, prevent 1 of that damage. This is, I feel like, another limited card. Even then, it's just like not blocking 1, 2 turns in a row, which I guess is fine, but you can keep it around. But I guess like it helps you like break points, I guess, if you're like facing them down a lot of 7s or something like that, or just like 4s every turn. But I don't know. I don't know if that's one that you want to be keeping around, because it's one that you want to keep around and not lose. So I'm going to say low stale and To Be Continued. And then what happens next is another Guardian Instant Aura, a common. The blocks for 2. It's a blue, costs 0. There's 3 of these blue ones. Has suspense. The first card with cost 1 or more you play each turn costs 1 less to play. This one interests me a little bit. It could help with some cost curve things, right? Like all of a sudden your Act of Glory costs 1 less to play, and it's each turn, so it can even be on your opponent's turn for the instance. This one interests me. I think it might be like a low fresh if I had to like give it the benefit of the doubt, because this one is kind of funny to keep around for at least a couple turns. It could just make your hands work for you a little bit more, which I do like. So maybe like a low fresh on what happens next. And then finally for Guardian, we have Sit, which this is a limited card. It is a red Guardian common block that blocks for 2. And when this defends a brute attack, this gets +3. I mean, maybe it sees some sideboard play if it's really that prevalent, but I don't know. I don't think so. So That's probably a rotten, with maybe it could sneak into a sideboard stale. But we will see. And we're going to go to the generics. We got some common equipment that, might have some relevance in commoner, but we're going to keep it to CC and I guess LL to a certain extent. Maybe some blitz. But yeah, I'm going to just kind of say they're probably all rotten for classic constructed. Helm of Hindsight could be okay, right? This could be fine. It's probably one of the better ones. This says generic equipment headpiece. It blocks for 0, but it has instant pay 3 resources. Destroy it. Put target attack action card from your graveyard on top of your deck. Recursion is nothing to sneeze at, so this one's probably going to be like a low stale, but we just have too many good head slots right now. After that, Garland of Spring, generic equipment chest piece that blocks 0. Action, destroy this, gain a resource. Go again. We've seen this before. And, it's like Blossom of Spring. Just pick one and use it. So, whatever. It's interchangeable if you need that effect at a earlier time than your Spring Tunic. Punching Gloves. This is definitely rotten. It says generic equipment arm piece blocks 0. Action, pay 2 resources, destroy this. Next attack action card you play this turn gets +2. Go again. Nope. Rotten. And then Toby Jugs is generic equipment leg piece that costs 0. Or not cost 0. That blocks for 0. Has Blade Break. And when this defends, you may pay a resource. If you do, it gets +2 this turn. Most likely rotten as well. Let's get to the Majestics. We have Cutting Retort, a red 0 cost 4 attack, 3 block generic attack action. It says when this attacks a hero, you may pay up to 3 resources, destroy that many aura tokens with different names they control. If you do, this gets +1 for each aura destroyed this way. Yeah, this seems good, right? There are a certain, different amount of heroes that are going to have at least 1 or 2 aura tokens out. And if you can get them, it's pretty interesting, right? This is kind of good to play when Codex of Frailty exists, because you grab it from your graveyard when they play it, and then you attack with this, and hopefully you have the resource, and then you just pop their Ponder, which is pretty good. So I think this is kind of a high fresh. I mean, it's good at times. It's going to play like a low fresh to death. This card's pretty awesome. I do like it a lot. Next we have Overcrowded, which is a blue 0 cost 1 attack 2 block generic attack action card that has Ambush, which means while this is in your arsenal, you may defend with it. When this attacks or defends, it gets +1/+1. So +1 attack, +1 defense for each different name among aura tokens in the arena. So if you have 1 and your opponent has 1, it's going to get +3. If you have 2 and your opponent has 1, you're just going to get, the other one was +2. Then it would get +3. Right? Count them. Count the different ones that you have, and I think this is a good blue. I mean, I want to ambush with it, right? In different like scenarios that are better, right? This is good to have for Codex of Frailty as well, because you're going to have an aura token that was given to you, the Frailty token, and your opponent's going to have the Ponder token, and you bring this back, and they attack with whatever, and you just block with it because it's in your arsenal, and it's going to block for 4, and it's not going to get the negative from the Frailty. So I like that quite a bit. So this is, I think it's a low fresh to death, because, Codex of Frailty is one of the best cards in the game, and if it's good against it, I like it. After that, we have Kick the Hornet's Nest, which is a yellow, super rare. Costs 3, attacks for 6, and blocks 3. It's a generic attack action card. And when an opponent's effect puts this into your graveyard from anywhere, create a Confidence, Might, Toughness, and Vigor token. Yeah, this is kind of a fun little card. I mean, we've been seeing some more cards that are good against like discard and other things like that. So I guess if it's tough because this is not something that you can manipulate, right? Because you need your opponent to be doing something, but if you do this, it can be good. How often it's going to happen, I don't know. So I'm going to be cautious with this one. I'm going to give it a stale, but if you get this off, you're going to be pretty happy. So pretty neat card. So a stale for Kick the Hornet's Nest. Excuse me. Unwavering Resolve is the next super. It's a red 3 cost, 6 attack, 2 block generic attack action card. If you have no cards in your deck, this gets +4. 3 for 10 is pretty good. If this is defended by 3 or more cards, it gets go again. So, right? I mean, I don't know, right? I don't know if this is good enough, right? I mean, maybe like a 3 for 10 at the end of the game, right? If your opponent doesn't have a lot of cards and you don't have a lot of cards, obviously you have no cards, and then you can follow it up with something else after that. Can be good. I don't know if this will see play, to be honest. I saw the playmat for this and it was so sick. But yeah, Unwavering Resolve is going to be a optimistic fresh because I like it, and that's really what I'm basing it on. Next, we got Beat the Same Drum, which is a blue 0-cost super generic non-attack action that blocks 3. If you've controlled an agility token this turn, create an agility token, then repeat for confidence, might, toughness, and vigor. And it has go again. Well, certain heroes can use it more than others, and that is the heroes from this set. It is a blue block 3. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like, you're sure KO Armed and Dangerous can easily make a new agility and a new might, but you don't really want to be playing non-5/6s. But I think this might see some play. This one's like a optimistic low fresh, I think. This is one that's going to be like, okay, is there a deck that wants to kick these tokens down the road at the cost of a card and need the blue that blocks 3? I would say probably. So Beat the Same Drum could be good. If you get all, or at least 3 of the 5, I'm happy. If you're only getting 2, I don't know if it's really worth it, but yeah, we'll see with Beat the Same Drum. After that, we have Time Flies When You're Having Fun. Sure does. We're almost done with this podcast. This is a red, generic, non-attack action super that blocks for 2. The next time an attack action card hits a hero this turn, you may destroy an aura they control. If this was played from Arsenal, the next attack action card you play this turn gets +3. Go again. Yeah. So there was the yellow from a few sets back that said the next attack from Arsenal gets +3, I think. And when it deals damage, you can destroy an aura with cost X or less with the amount of damage, I think it was called, or I think that was the effect. And that didn't quite make it, but I think it also cost 1. This one costs 0. I think this is good. And I want to play it in Riptide because auras are difficult, right? I think Time Flies When You're Having Fun might be an important sideboard card going forward in this game, right? Because we just haven't had super efficient aura destruction, and we're getting more auras. So, and this is not even aura tokens. This is just straight auras. So I'm going to say super solid sideboard fresh for Time Flies when you're having fun. I like that card a lot. Next we got Bluster Buff, which is a 1 cost. This is a rare. It only comes in red. We have a cycle of these. They're going to increase in attack and cost. So Bluster Buff is the 1 cost, 6 attack, 3 block generic attack action. And when this attacks, it gets -1 unless you pay 1. And then you got Chest Puff, which is 2 for 7, blocks 3. When it attacks, gets -1 unless you pay 1. And then finally, Look Tough, which is a 3 cost, 8 attack that blocks 3. When this attacks, it gets -1 unless you pay 1. It's just, I don't think it's good enough. This is more limited fodder, and I think it's probably going to stay there, right? That's just what I imagine. So I'm going to just say these are kind of rotten. I would love to be proven otherwise, but I just don't see it. Next, we have Punch Above Your Weight, which comes in all 3 colors. It's a rare, and it costs 0. It attacks for 2 across all 3 colors. And it's a generic attack action card that blocks 2 as well. And when this attacks, you may pay 3 resources. If you do, this gets +5, +4, or +3. So I think the red's good for like Lith. I think it's good for KO Underhanded Cheat. And that's kind of it. But I do think this is pretty good. To be honest, does it work with Benji? It might, probably doesn't. I'm not sure. But yeah, Punch Above Your Weight is going to be a nice kind of like sneaky 6 cost or 3 cost to 6 attack in Lith. And then if you have the extra resources in KO, this is going to be 11. So I do like it. I don't know if it's really that good, but it's probably going to see play. So probably like a high stale. Mostly. Excuse me. And then, but we'll see. I hope it sees play. I think it's cool. We have some reprints. Brothers in Arms reprint. I'm not going to talk about it. Feisty Locals is another reprint that I'm not going to talk about. If it saw play before, it's going to see play again. And if it didn't, it's probably not going to until something really makes it make sense. We have 2 more new generic cards. And the first one is right behind you, which is a common that comes in all 3 colors. It is a 3 cost generic attack action card that attacks for 7, 6, and 5, and blocks for 2. When this defends together with another card from hand, this gets +1, and you may look at the top card of your deck. You may put it on bottom, so you can opt, right? This is pretty important for Tuffnut in like limited. At the yellow at least, and the red. I mean, all of them probably in limited, but I don't like that you need to defend with something else, right? Because in limited it makes sense because things are going tall, but in constructed, people are going to go wide a little bit more. So for that reason, I'm a little bit out on this card. I'm going to give it a stale because there is potential there. You know, just a nice free opt is nice. So yeah, that's where I'm at with right behind you. And then Prime the Crowd. This one is kind of interesting. So in limited, it gives a buff to all heroes, right? So it comes in all 3 colors. It's a common. It is a 2 cost generic non-attack action that blocks for 2. The next attack action card you play this string is +4. The crowd cheers each revered hero and boos each reviled hero. And it has go again. So in limited, it's like weird because you're going to give your opponent a free cheer or free boo no matter what. Constructed, all of a sudden, this feels a little bit better, right? Because you're not always going to be playing against a revered or reviled hero. So I think that you red might, and also gives +4, +3, +2 if I didn't say that. I think the red might be somewhat playable in like Lith for like constructed. But there's a lot of good buffs because there's also the I'm already blanking on the one. I don't even remember at this point. This has been it's been a long podcast, but I don't even remember what I gave Villainous Pose. But if you need more Villainous Pose in the deck, I think Prime the Crowd could be totally fine. So that's the generics. Let's get into the expansion slot right now. And starting off, we have a reprint, Flick Knives. Not going to give it a new rating, but nice to see it's at Legendary. That was a much needed reprint. Hunter or Hunted, however, is not a reprint. This is a majestic blue 3-cost assassin defense reaction that blocks 4. When this defends, name a card. The attacking hero reveals the top card of their deck. If it's the named card, banish it. Search their hand, deck, and arsenal for up to 3 cards with the same name and banish them, then shuffle. It has contract. While this is defending, you are contracted to banish opponent's cards with the chosen name. Whenever you complete this contract, create a silver. So, this is a great Arachne Huntsman card. I wonder if that is going to put them over the top. But I've seen it in action. It's good. This is a really good card, right? Because when you play a contract card, you get to look at the top, right? And then you can do the thing and get rid of those cards. Like when you start getting rid of potent threats out of your opponent's deck, it kind of makes up for some of the deficiencies that Arachne Huntsman kind of has had in the past. So I think for that deck, it's kind of a fresh to death. You got to play it. I think you have to. I mean, it's a blue, right? And it blocks 4. And I think that deck already wanted to play blues. This one just becomes a better version of your worst blue. Fresh to death on Hunter or Hunted. Next one's pretty interesting. Tempest Palm Gustwave, which is a yellow 0-cost ninja attack action card that attacks for 3 and blocks 3. It has combo. If Surging Strike was the last attack this combat chain, this gets +2. If this is played at chain link 3 or higher, this gets go again. So clearly the idea here is pitch a blue, attack with Kodachi. Use the other 2 resources to go Surging Strike, and then this is a 0 for 5 with go again after that. If that is what Katsu or whatever ninja wants to do, this is a solid card, right? I think I'm not really sure if that's what these decks are trying to do anymore, but that is a great line. You pitched a blue for 11 points of damage, right? And then you still have another action point to do something else. So that being said, I think it's going to be like a fresh. I'm interested to see if it sees play, but it's also nice. It's a yellow 0-cost, so it's going to pay for Kodachis throughout the game. I do like this. I like this card quite a bit. So I think it's a fresh. We have a suite of equipment for Olympia. So it's Golden Galea, Golden Heart Plate, Golden Gauntlets, and Golden Gate. They are all the same, except just different slots. So head, shoulders, knees, and toes. But head, chest, arms, and legs, they block 2. With temper, they are legendary Olympia specializations, and they count as gold. So I think some number of these are going to be good enough for Olympia. Is Olympia still a meme deck? I'm not sure. But the one overpower card, that I'm blanking on the name, that I think usually costs 3, but it costs 0 if you sacrifice a gold, is a really good card in Olympia, especially to win wagers. It gives like +3 and overpower. And not having the gold early makes that card kind of useless early. With these, you have the gold early. So, and they block. And you can go to the golden anvil if you want afterwards. You can even block with all of these for 2 each, and then go to the golden anvil and trade all of them in for a brand new suite of equipment. It's cool. Don't know if it's good enough, but in that deck, you're going to run some amount of them. So it's a solid high fresh, probably, for Olympia. Really cool to see. Next, we have Beat of the Iron Song, which is a blue 0-cost warrior attack action or attack reaction. It blocks 3. Choose X+1, where X is the number of +1 counters on an attacking Dawnblade. Target Dawnblade attack gets +1. Target Dawnblade attack gets go again. Cards defending Dawnblade can't gain defense, and damage target Dawnblade attack would deal can't be prevented. So for 0, you're automatically getting one of those. And they're all good. And then you could easily get, I guess, X+1, where X is the number of +1 counters. Can you choose other ones more than once? I'm not sure. That is a question that somebody should answer in the comments, please. But if you can, let's say you had a ton of counters on Dawnblade. Now, you're probably already winning. But can you just start double stacking the damage? I'm not sure. But if you just need 3 counters to get all the modes, I think you might be able to double stack the damage. But hey, listen, I'm not sure. But either way, I think this is fresh to death. Dawnblade gets another tool, or Dorinthia gets another tool for Dawnblade. And eventually that deck is going to be, it's already just fringe good all the time, right? So this is just another good blue, right? Again, just replaces the worst blue in the deck easily. So yeah, Beat of the Iron Song, pretty good. And another warrior card after that is follows the blade. No, follows blade. Oh my god. It's a yellow 0-cost warrior attack reaction that blocks 3. It's a Kasai specialization. Target sword attack gets go again, and when this hits, create a Centauri sellsword token. This is fresh to death. Gotta say it. This is like easy access to the Centauri sellswords, and you're gonna do this when you know you can hit, and I think it's just really good. It's like your opponent always has to think about that first sword attack. Now, they have to, unless you already played all 3 of these. And it's a yellow, which Kasai cares about. This is a fresh to death, no doubt. Very cool. Next, we have Adaptive Alpha Mold, which is a mechanologist equipment base. Blocks 1. It's modular, so it can go to any equipment zone. And it has action. Pay 0. Equip this to another equipment zone. It has battle worn. This is good Teklo base armor, right? That's pretty important from the 2 Teklo players I've ever met. They're just like, yeah, here we go. So I think this is good. This is a good card. But I guess, I don't know if it really puts Teklo over the top or anything like that, but very, very cool to see. Next card is also quite good. This is Backspin Thrust, a 0-cost mechanologist attack action that attacks for 4 and blocks 3 and has once per turn instant. Untap a cog you control. This gets +1 or go again. Yeah, very good. Puffin, gets a nice little tool here. I think it's like a high fresh, it's not like game breaking, so I can't really give it a fresh to death, I don't think. But this is going to be a nice piece to just add to Puffin. Not much to talk about. I mean, it untaps the cog is really cool. And, you know, much like the other Puffin cards, the flexibility of either giving +1 or go again is pretty neat. And then we got one more mech card, which is Hit the Gas. Vroom Vroom. This is a blue 0-cost mech analogist action. It blocks 3. It's a max specialization. Turn any number of hyperdrivers in your banished zone face down and gain that many action points. If 3 or more cards are turned face down this way, draw a card. Yes, this is a pseudo replacement for, you know, that card that Max was playing. Holy smokes. That we got banned. Sorry, this has been a long set review. I am going to think about it. But anyway, yeah, you know, the one that whenever you get an item, you get an action, or whenever you boost, you get an action point. Yes, it was very good as banned. I haven't had to play against it in a minute, so that's been good. But I knew Max with the Mechanoid, that was a huge part of that plan. They lost it because Dash.io was so good, and it was very sad. And now we have a pseudo replacement for that. It forces you to play more actual hyperdrivers in the deck, but that's okay. You know, you're going to boost them away, get your thing going, boom, attack for a ton, right? It just is a really good way to do this this plan, the Mechanoid plan, which ended up always being the Max deck. So I think this is like a kind of a fresh to death for Max. This is the one hope, the Max's last hope. So another reprint is New Horizons, still good. And Mage Hunter Arrow, which is a majestic 1-cost ranger attack action arrow that attacks for 5 and blocks 3 and has instant destroy this. The next time you would be dealt arcane damage this turn, prevent 3 of that damage. Activate this only while this is face up in your arsenal. And then it also says when this hits a Runeblade or Wizard hero, you may destroy an aura they control. Great sideboard card. You're kind of forced into New Horizons with a card like this, especially for the first ability, but you're not really so much forced into it against Runeblade, which is nice. Although it does help, and you know, it would be nice if it would prevent the next 3 arcane damage that you were dealt. But this is a good card, great sideboard card, sideboard fresh. A card that I'm very excited about is Take the Bait. This is a red 0-cost ranger non-attack action that blocks for 3. It's a Riptide specialization. Search your deck for a card, then shuffle and put it on top. Create a bait token under an opponent's control. Go again. What is a bait token? A bait token is a ranger token aura. You can't play or activate cards you own. Action. Destroy this when the chain link resolves. Attack. Once per turn, attack reaction. Pay 0. This gets +1 and go again. And it also has 0 base attack. So what is this doing? What does Take the Bait do? Well, the bait token itself turns on all your traps if they choose to activate it. They need to activate at least the bait token to move on with their life and be able to play their own cards. Now, that being said, the bait token, they can just pass their turn, which is fine. I think that's totally fine. Just attack with it, it gets destroyed, they pass their turn, and you have all the tempo. That's good. And then on the flip side, they attack with it, they do the attack reaction to give it +1 go again, and whichever trap you have in your hand is going to trigger. Cool thing is, you could have went and searched for the best trap that you need in the moment, right? With Take the Bait, the card. So I think that is very good. Now, there's other really neat things you can do with this. You don't even have to get a trap. You can get like a card that needs an aim counter if you're playing Sand Scour, and you put it on top and you do the Sand Scour thing. And then there's other neat interactions as well. If you want to set up a good Codex of Inertia or something like that. So I love this card. It's fresh to death, best card I've ever seen, and it's going to get banned. It's so good, I'm sure. Next we have Patch Terrain, which is a red 1-cost Draconic instant aura at Majestic. Heroes can't gain life. At the beginning of your end phase, put a sand counter on this, then destroy it unless you banish a red card from your graveyard for each sand counter on it. I think this card's awesome. No life gain. I mean, Fang, if this is going to exist for like turns and turns and turns in Fang, and it also activates the Obsidian Firevein. These cards awesome. Unless I'm missing something. I mean, like, I don't know if life gain in general was an issue for Fang, but Verdance wasn't the best matchup, so I like this a lot. I don't know if it lives in the sideboard or not. I guess it does, right? Because it's just going to eat up a slot if not. So it's like, this is like a sideboard fresh to me. I think this card's very good. And like, obviously the other Draconic heroes can play it, but it loses a point of value, right, in the other Draconic heroes, I think. So, yeah. A couple more reprints. Felling of the Crown, still really good. And Plow Under, still really good. What about Channel the Tranquil Domain? This is a yellow 3-cost Earth action aura that blocks 3. Go again. When this enters the arena in the start of your action phase, put another target aura on the bottom of its owner's deck. Channel Earth at the beginning of your end phase. Put a flow counter on this, then destroy it unless you put an Earth card from your pitch zone on the bottom of your deck for each flow counter on it. This is a nice little aura, like, deletion, nice little silver bullet for these auras. I guess you can get a decent amount of value off of this. I mean, you can even just recycle one of your other auras that's not going to stick around. I like this. I think this is a good card. Unless I'm missing something. This is like, maybe it's more of a sideboard fresh, but I think it's still a fresh card. I think it's going to be easy to keep this thing around. Get a few auras off of your opponent. Certain heroes, don't care. So it's really going to come down to that. Channel the Tranquil Domain. Another channel card. It's good. And then we got Light Up the Leaves, which is a red Majestic Earth Wizard non-attack action that blocks 3 and it costs 3. And it says deal 6 arcane damage to any target, and also has instant discard this and an Earth card, prevent the next 6 arcane damage target source would deal this turn. Yeah, this is really good. It's an Earth card. It deals 6 arcane to any target, and it has additional wizard battle defensive options. I think this card is kind of not a problem, but it's certainly just another good piece for Verdance that makes Storm Striders look even better, right? So Light Up the Leaves, quite good. High Fresh, maybe. Mm-hmm. Next, we got Angelic Attendant. It's a yellow 0-cost light illusionist non-attack action that blocks 3. It says awaken target figment you control. Put this into your soul. Go again. This is good. I think it might be a little bit more win more for Prism, but also in the future I would look at a card like this if they print another light illusionist that is using different kinds of figments. This could be a very important card. And yeah, I do like it. I don't know if you're going to play a lot of it. I mean, maybe in certain matchups you have to bring it in because you're pretty like soul poor. So I could see that being a thing. So maybe it's like a sideboard fresh It's a good card. Could be win more, but that's okay. We like to win. I mean, I don't like when Prism wins, but, you know, they can have some wins. Next, we got Battlefield Beacon, which is a yellow 0-cost light warrior attack action card. Nice Bolton card here. It attacks for 3, blocks 3, and when this attacks, choose 1 for each card you've banished from your soul this combat chain. You may choose the same mode up to 3 times. Create a courage token, create a toughness token, create a vigor token. So ideally, it's kind of funny, right? Because I look at this and I'm like, okay, I can go, not Enlightened Strike, the other one. The yellow, that 0 for 7, go again, banish 3 from your soul. That into this, you're just like, I'm eating so much. There's so much value. And maybe that's just like kind of more of what Bolton needs to be doing. I think this alone, looking at what I know you can do with Bolton, this could be good enough. And a courage, a toughness, and a vigor is very good for Bolton. So, and being able to get more of it is also really good. So I like this card a lot. I'm going to give it a high fresh. I'm always cautiously optimistic when it comes to Bolton, but eventually, it's like Riptide, right? Eventually we're going to get there. You know, they're going to give us just enough of the these expansion slots that we're doing well. And a hero that really needs something new was Gravy Bones, I thought, and they gave him something. So this is Gallo, End of the Line, which is a yellow 3-cost pirate necromancer action ally that has 4 attack and 3 health, and it has action, pay 1 resource, tap it, attack, instant, tap it, discard a card with Watery Grave until end of turn. Effects controlled by opponents don't trigger when their attacks hit. And it has Watery Grave. This one's good against a lot of decks that are doing some nasty stuff into Gravy, which is very funny. I mean, I guess just will blank Prism, right? I guess it will blank a lot of the assassins. It blanks like a deck like, Riptide, I guess. Marlin. There's a lot of decks that this will blank, right? And that is pretty scary. And it fills your graveyard with a Watery Grave. So this is probably like a high fresh. Gravy's doing well. I mean, Gravy just got hit by a big ban. Don't really know where that deck stands with how good KO is going to be, but more Necromancer allies is cool because, you can only run so many of them for sure. Next, we have Catch of the Day, which is a blue 0-cost Pirate Ranger action that blocks 3. Your next arrow attack this turn gets +2. If a Go Fish effect would trigger this turn, instead it triggers twice. Go again. This is a nice little blue, right? I mean, with how that deck is, Marlin is kind of shaped up. You need a lot of blues. This one's good, right? If you can throw this out on the turn, you're activating the Hammerhead on a good Go Fish. You can really, strip 2 cards, right? So that is pretty impressive. So this is probably, I don't think Marlin's quite there yet. I still think she needs some more help, but this will be just like a shoe-in high fresh for Marlin, I think. And then Painful Passage is a red 0-cost Shadow Runeblade non-attack action that blocks for 3. You may banish an attack action card from your hand. If you do, it gets +3 or go again until end of turn. And then this has go again. Yeah, this seemed pretty good. I mean, this is a nice way for Vincent to go a little wide. And then also, I guess, like Chain might want to do it in LL. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But I think Vincent really likes this card, right? You can set up, you can actually, funny thing is, it opens up more of the old Chain cards that Chain used to play in Vincent, right? So you can play this into, whatever, the 0 for 4 that comes out of the banish zone only if you played a non-attack action, yada, yada, yada. So this could be a really cool deck building tool for Vincent. So going to give it a build around fresh, maybe. It might just be a solid fresh. 2 more reprints. Warmonger's Diplomacy. Nice to see that getting reprinted. And then Snag, which is an interesting one to reprint, but it makes sense. And then we have some Guardian equipment for Pleiades in here as well. Tiara of Suspense, which is a Revered Guardian equipment headpiece that blocks 2. Instant, destroy this, put a suspense counter on aura of suspense you control. Activate this only if you've been cheered this turn, and it has Guardwell. So when the combat chain closes, if this defendant put a -1 counter equal to its defense. So it can block for 2 and then save a suspense for another turn. It seems really good for her. I think I have to imagine she wants to play something like this. It is very interesting. So I would give it, I guess, like a solid fresh. I don't know if this is good enough to beat out like a Crown of Providence or something. Next we got Virtuoso Bodice. Bodice? I think it's Bodice. This is a Guardian equipment chess piece that blocks for 2 with Blade Break. When this defends, you may remove a suspense counter from an aura you control. If you do, gain 2 resources. Kind of interesting. You can, ramp up on your opponent's turn to play an instant aura from your hand. Is that good enough? I don't know. This I'm like totally at a loss with Pleiades. It's the one hero I didn't play at the world premiere. Like on its face, I think this is good, right? It makes sense with the game plan. And so for that reason, I got to give it a fresh. And it blocks 2, so it's like it is doing good stuff for the slot. So gonna give it a fresh. And then finally, Attention Grabber. Not finally, we got one more after that. Attention Grabbers is Guardian equipment arm piece that blocks 1. It has Blade Break. And when this defends, you may remove a suspense counter from an aura you control. If you do, this gets +2, this chain link. This one, I have to imagine, is pretty good. Blocking 3 is just, I think, good enough. And then also, the suspense counter manipulation is good as well. I think even Lith likes this one. So this one's like a high fresh. I don't know if it's quite fresh to death, but certainly a high fresh for, I think, both heroes that are playing suspense auras. And then finally, Boots on the Boards, which is a Revered equipment leg piece that blocks for 2 with Temper. Okay, I like this a lot. When this defends, you may pay up to 3 resources, create that many toughness tokens. I guess Pleiades wants to play this, but I can tell you from personal experience, I think Tuffnut wants to play this. And it feels like a fresh to death in Tuffnut. So I think Pleiades wouldn't mind it either. Right? I mean, these toughness tokens are really powerful. And Temper on your legs is also really good. So I like it. I mean, it's certainly an upgrade from like Civic Steps. So yeah, Boots on the Board. Holy smokes. That's the end of the set review. Unless I missed something. Folks, thanks for listening. This is always a lot of fun. And I hope you enjoy. I love spending some time with just you. Hope you all settled in, enjoyed. Sorry, I forgot so many card names. I've just been so many new names you gotta learn. I need to start doing flashcards like it's high school again. But hey, I appreciate everybody for sticking around to the end. I love doing these set reviews, and I love the response that it gets. So please comment anything that I got wrong. I'm sure I did, or anything that maybe I really got right. I like compliments too, folks. Yeah, that is gonna do it. You can continue to find me on Blue Sky at freshbudspod. If you watch this on the YouTube, give us the old like, comment, subscribe. If you listen to this on the audio platforms, rate it, whatever. That all really helps. And if you want to check out the YouTube version of this has all of the pictures of the cards up. So yeah, Fresh Juice is back. We just recorded an episode. Welcome back my cousin from being a dad. I mean, still a dad, but welcome back from going through the birth thing with his wife. Yeah. Thanks to everybody who said hi in Montreal. That was really cool. And then ending with a little bit of food. I made like a lentil dish tonight with like green beans, and it was like a tadka. That I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's basically like you make the lentil almost like a curry lentil, like a dal, and then you do this tadka thing where you quick fry up like mustard seeds and cumin seeds and chili powder and stuff like that, and get them all like spicy and flavorful, and then you just mix it in with the dal. It was some good stuff. It was some good stuff. So that's my food for the week. Yeah, I guess everybody stay fresh. And next week we got a great episode, I think, with Yuki Lee Bender.